I'm not
Cody
I'm not
Boer.
fucking eating bananas
Oh my
with an
god.
oral
That was
fixation.
no
Cody
edit, no
Boer.
It's just chew.
Cody Boer.
It's just something to like.
Good grief.
It's just something to
Someone
touch
call,
your tongue against to get flavor.
Someone
You know what I
get Scott in here. Cody needs talking to.
mean? And I will tell you too, like going carnivore, this is my one flavor. You know what I mean? Because I have no salt, pepper, and meat. Like that's my only flavor.
You don't put anything on it?
I'm not allowed to.
You're not allowed hot sauce or anything?
Oh no.
Why? Oh, because it's
No.
got stuff in it?
Nope.
What about frosting? Is that on the corner?
I keep wondering, like,
Is that on the carnivore
I
diet?
keep telling myself, like, I don't know when I'm gonna break it because I do feel so fucking good. I very well could go a very long time, and I get like my biggest strength is also my biggest weakness, where I get so headstrong on something I won't change my mind.
Yeah.
And that gets in my way a lot of the time too. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the times you do need to kind of let it go and figure something else out. But it's also good in like willpower and these things. So I don't know how long I'm gonna go, but
Right now
I
it's
keep
rolling.
like toying in my head with how I'm gonna break it. Am I gonna break it with fucking pancakes and peanut butter, or am I gonna break it with a banana?
You do
know what I
like-
mean? Like
yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
You break food. You're trying to already thinking of that, huh?
I wonder if
You're
you
thinking like a quitter.
I wonder if you break it with pancakes and peanut butter, if it would just blow your system up.
That I kind of want to do that to see. That's why I'm like
Let's do
toying
that.
with how I do it.
Let's do that.
I want to see.
A birthday cake.
I don't like birthday
Yeah,
cake.
birthday cake's so gross.
What?
I'd rather have an apple pie.
I would way rather have
Of
pancakes.
course
with
you
peanut butter.
would. We all know
No,
why.
like pancakes,
I've seen that movie.
chunky peanut butter, coconut flakes, and syrup.
Yeah.
That's my outside of like my favorite food on planet Earth.
Is what? Peanut butter?
That's probably one of mine.
I love
That
peanut butter.
natural peanut butter. I don't like that sugar stuff. Get rid of all
Oh no,
sugar
I like
and peanut
sugary
butter.
peanut butter.
Why? Why does
Jeff,
sugar need to be in
it's
peanut
delicious.
butter? Well, why?
Fuck, I don't know why sugar's delicious. It just is.
No, it's
It's
not.
it's a chemical. It's like Coke.
Oh,
it's like cocaine. It's an addiction.
It's as
not-
addictive or
Yeah,
more
it's
addictive.
more
I would
addictive.
say. I agree.
It is more, and there's like study after
Wholeheartedly
study.
agree that sugar is very
Yes,
addictive.
processed white sugar
Yeah.
is
It is.
more addictive than any other substance on planet Earth. And let me tell you what, go carnivore, and you'll fucking you wonder what drug addicts feel like. You'll find out.
It's what I really hate, Trail. 'cause
Those first 14, 15 days. Now, granted, you can clear your system of it a lot faster than meth and any of that shit. But like those first 7, 10, 14 days, you understand what withdrawing feels like.
Yeah. Here's my biggest problem with that is that like I like to run, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I need the times I have gone real strict with my diet, mostly just proteins.
You bonk.
I bonk so hard. I'll go
And
out
that's-
for like a run that I should be able to just crush.
You
And
bonk.
I feel
Well,
like
that's what
hell.
the hike I went on. It was nothing insane. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a hike I wasn't necessarily prepared for. Like I wasn't expecting the country to be that big because a lot of Mexico isn't that big.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a sun up till 3 p.m. hike, like circle this huge, massive basin, but still nothing like comparative to what we've done in the past. And the way I felt, like a true bonk in the backcountry. Like if I wouldn't have been close, if I wouldn't just have to go downhill, that could have been really bad, like really shaky, seeing
Oof.
stars. You know what I mean? You
Oh
know the
yeah, I've
feeling.
been there. Yeah, I
So
hate that.
the reason why, though, that simple carbs, which mainly is processed sugar, is a
Yep.
simple carb. The reason why it's so addictive is because it's so easily absorbed to immediate energy. Your body does not have to work to convert it to energy.
Yep.
Where meat and like proteins
time.
and complex carbs takes your body so much time to convert it, and it makes your body work really fucking hard to convert it. So your body doesn't. It's going to take the easy way out, just like anything in life, just like your mind will too. Humans. There's two things about humans that will forever be true. They'll always be evil, and they will always be lazy. And you have to do your best to overcome the two.
It's a rosy.
It's just human nature.
I know.
Like if people let their evil overcome them, and if they let their laziness overcome them, those are the two things in human nature that'll just be forever true.
Yep.
Your body is the same way. So like if your body can get lazy with energy, just like eat energy immediately, it's pretty,
Yeah.
your body likes that.
That's my only holdup though, is I like to run and I like to feel good when I run.
Yeah.
And it's just like The times I have done it, I've really bonked hard,
Yeah.
and it's depressing. I'm like,
Super depressing.
man.
Dude, I was mad. I was like,
Yeah,
pretty
I
pissed
would
when
be
I
too.
got home. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I just could not get right.
I wonder if
couldn't
that
get
works
right.
itself out in time.
That's what I'm going to see.
Yeah.
Because like my workouts in the gym are hour and a half, 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a good amount of time to
Well,
get to a good spot.
The other thing
that
is,
was a fucking 9-hour grind.
Yeah.
And I was done.
The other thing is, how much would you have to add in to like get back up to where you felt pretty good?
I think what I would have to add in is a legitimate meal and let it absorb.
like a
So,
like a carb.
No.
No.
Like if I
Just
wanted to
meat?
stay carnivore, I'm just saying if I wanted to stay carnivore, like a full 12 to 15 ounce ribeye with an hour and a half of digestion.
Oh, gotcha. Before you had the energy to go do the thing that
go
you
do
wanted
the
to
next
do.
thing
Yeah.
again. Like a true hour and a half, 2 hours of digestion
Yeah.
to
I
get
wonder.
that next source of energy.
Yeah, because I run on an empty stomach in the
Yeah.
morning. Like
I work out on an
just
empty stomach.
a little bit of water and an empty stomach. But then I'm running off of whatever I ate the last night.
The night
And
before.
you can always tell.
For sure.
I can always tell like what I ate the night before
Yeah.
was a good move or a bad
If you're
move.
crampy and your lower back hurts, you ate too much sugar. If
Story
you
of my life.
feel heavy
Okay,
and
yeah.
lethargic, you ate too many complex carbs. If you feel light and like brisk and ready to go, then you ate the perfect amount of simple
Gotcha.
nutrients.
Brady, your back never aches?
No.
Come on now.
It's like the
You're
secret,
like 8 feet tall. How does your back not hurt?
because he doesn't eat sugar. That's
Don't
the
eat
other thing,
sugar.
though. I will tell you, my left knee does not hurt at all. No tenderness, no like sharp pains, nothing, because I have no sugar, no carbs, so no inflammation. My left
Dang
knee
it.
does not bother me at all.
You got to stop
You
eating
guys
sugar.
suck, both of you.
Eat
You suck.
right. Food is fuel, not fun.
It's
all
That's-
for performance.
That's carnivore 101.
That's why I think
I
like
know.
we keep going back to this. Like my diet is almost strictly a carnivore, but
I do like
supplement
food.
a little bit, but like I eat so
But
much.
you eat
freaking meat.
only complex carbs.
Yeah.
You don't eat simple carbs.
You know what's dumb is
That's
like
why
I'm
you're
not,
so fucking skinny. That's why.
Yeah.
I'm not a foodie.
like a
Like,
wolf.
I don't really
Just ready
like.
to go.
I don't like food. Like I don't like. I'm not like Cody. That's like, oh, I want to go to like great restaurants in town.
either.
I could give two shits.
Me
but I
too.
do like junk food. It
Sugar.
sucks.
Sugar.
I do like sugar, and I
I
like
do too.
Cheetos too. Have you ever had Cheetos?
Dude, that nice, soft, puffy
The
crunch.
puffy Cheeto. Brady, no Cheetos?
No,
Why not?
I don't have a
Processed
single. I don't have a single.
cheese.
I don't have a single bag of chips. I don't have any cheese in my fridge.
Have you
have
ever
nothing but
have you
good
ever eaten a
food.
Cheeto and you're chewing the Cheeto up and you're like, what is it exactly I'm eating?
It's all in
Like,
your mind.
if-
It's all in your mind.
It feels like you're eating like cheese coated petroleum product is what it tastes like.
But you just can't get enough of it.
No, you can't. But I don't know what a Cheeto is made of. I don't know. I couldn't tell you
It's
if
like it's like hardened styrofoam.
it could be styrofoam. It could be. It very well could be a petroleum product. And I wouldn't know. I can't imagine that it's a grain. Doesn't taste like it, but
No, it's not on.
Cheetos are manufactured by blending corn and water.
corn and water and air.
Yeah, there's
Those are all
something not
natural
right there.
things: corn,
No.
water, and air.
You get
Corn?
down.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Trill, we need to have a heart to heart at some point.
Corn can't be bad for you. Have you seen that little the song, the little kid with corn song?
No.
Cody,
It says,
it's corn.
the
Paul,
It says the germ of the corn is removed to prevent spoiling. The germless corn is then ground into cornmeal. Because the cornmeal lacks nutrition provided by the germs, it is enriched by adding nutrients and others to increase its nutritional value.
Because it has zero nutritional value. Corn has zero fucking nutritional value.
I just saw.
The bioavailability of most vegetables is at like 18 to 20% at most. And that's why, like everyone, whenever you eat corn specifically, and then you eat vegetables, you take massive shits afterwards and you can like tell you ate corn. It's because there's so much waste in that what you just ate.
Didn't the FDA?
So taking massive shits is actually a sign of being very unhealthy. It's that
See,
that
Brady?
means waste.
you remember
No.
when you
Your
were in
food.
Tajikistan? Massive shits.
I think that was a combination
Unhealthy.
of some prescribed.
You, Brady.
That was
Speaking of-
prescribed drugs
of,
that
my
I don't
son-
take on a normal basis.
Massive.
Speaking of,
I hate-
we gotta postpone this for a little bit. My son's got to take a shit, and he's gonna be here in 2 minutes.
Okay.
My
He
wife's
is?
on the highway. Yeah,
Okay, and he's got to go.
he's got to go.
He he messaged ahead.
He's got to go. Well, they were at the pediatrician, which is right around the corner,
Oh, gotcha.
and she just texted me, "I got to come by. He's got to take a shit."
I just heard Cheetos are good for you, better than meat on the new FDA thing.
Yeah,
See?
exactly. Imagine that.
Lucky Charms and Cheetos.
Why?
It's the American dream. Why? Good question.
What's so funny is
I asked myself this
what's so
question
funny
too.
is how willing people are to believe when they want to believe. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, you can talk yourself into all kinds of
99%
things.
of Americans want to believe that is true. So they're like, "Holy fuck!" Like they want it to be true. So then in turn they believe it as truth. Mm-hmm. Whereas and that's why propaganda works. It's like people want it so bad to be true. Like I wish so fucking bad pancakes with peanut butter and coconut flakes was good for you. But the fact of the matter is every time I eat it, I am taking fucking days and weeks off of my life.
What about those like protein pancakes?
Kodiak cakes?
I mean, it all depends.
We got them. I got them.
It all depends, but like generally speaking,
I think even those are
multi-grain-
mostly grain.
yeah, multigrain and
sugars.
grains are just as bad for you.
Yeah.
The more I hear you talk, Lorenzo, the more I just know that I'm on a great path right now, and Trail's on the opposite side.
You
of
are.
that path.
That is honestly why you are so skinny. Is
That's
you
it.
don't eat simple carbs, sugars, nothing. That's
Good.
why you don't gain weight.
Good
Well,
job.
don't get me
The
wrong, yeah.
calories, honestly, calories are non-existent. Your calorie count if you eat the right foods.
All right, we're back
With the Big Hunt Guys podcast.
with the Big Hunt Guys
If you
podcast.
wanna- If
Big
you-
Boot Guys podcast.
If you weren't aware,
The new boot goofing guys. So we got a lot of boots in front of us, Trail and Lorenzo.
Yes, we do.
I think we're gonna dive into boots today, huh?
yeah, it's a good topic this time of year.
Yeah, it is.
Why do you believe it is a good time of year?
Because I think it takes time to kind of decide what's going to work for you. And I think this time of year is a good time to break in a pair of boots. So if you live somewhere where you can do some shed hunting, whether you're looking for mule deer or elk sheds in March, that's a really good time to get out and put some boot leather down and try to pick up a shed. But I think more than anything, it's just before you get into the summer time frame where you're doing some scouting and then you get into the fall where you're going to be hunting, there's nothing that will make or break your hunt more than your footwear. So I would say now's a great time of year to get a pair of boots and either confirm that you love them or find
Move
something
on.
else. Yeah. that
Yeah,
works
I
for you.
entirely agree. It's just I've heard you say that a couple times that it's the best time of year for it.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people think that. But it's entirely true. I mean, the easiest way to ruin your hunt is to ruin the old Chevrolet legs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get them not working properly. I mean, that's your number one resource is moving. And if your feet are fucked up, it's not going to go very
I
well.
do not recommend just throwing on a brand new pair of boots and headed out on a hunt.
Yeah.
Nothing worse.
Very bad idea. And it's
And this is a fun time of year for it. It is a good time of year to be out in the hills and kind of finishing up hunting.
yeah.
I completely agree. I'm a huge proponent of boots this time of year.
And to help you guys out, get some new boots. If you use promo code podcast
Ooh.
in the goHUNT Gear Shop, you get 10% off on any full price boot,
Any boot.
any boot. Might as well use promo code podcast to sign up for Insider because then you get $50 back to the goHUNT Gear Shop.
And you get the 10% off.
Well,
Yeah, I wonder.
You can
Can
get
you can you double up?
yeah, that's the shop purchase and a
Right.
membership purchase. So
Ooh,
yeah,
I
so
didn't
you're
even
gonna
know
get
about
that $50.
I don't know
Use
if
that
this is a good
$50.
business decision.
Lorenzo's like,
In-
wait a damn minute.
Use that $50 to buy a pair of boots. Or if you just want to use the 10%, you can use that too. So
Shit, bud. That's what I would do. I mean, I didn't know that.
we're in the research phase, so you
Yeah.
might as well start researching for hunts that you want to do, and then start looking at some boots
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, you get $50, then you get a 10% discount,
Yep.
and you get yourself some new boots.
Yep.
I think it is. There's a lot of people. Do you guys know people that just put on a pair of boots and go on a hunt? I've seen a lot of people do it.
I know a lot of people that do it, and I am a lucky one to be able to do it. I have very good feet. I have awkwardly shaped feet, which I've talked about in the past, kind of like more like a duck foot, skinny heel, wider toe, very wide toe box. Like I got a total fat guy foot, like like one of them big
What's
old
a
laid
fat
out.
guy foot?
You got so much
Like a
weight
hobbit?
just pressing it down.
You got a lot of
get
hair on it?
You get no, actually, surprisingly, I don't, which is interesting. But I have I don't know, the amount of weight I've had on my feet for so long, it just kind of splayed my toe box out.
So you got a wide forefoot.
Yeah. And it's, so other than that, but I do have extremely tough feet as far as boots go. Like I don't struggle with hot spots or blisters, never have in the past. So I have been fortunate when I have been in a bind in the past. One specific one was going on a sheep hunt with my dad that I was not prepared for. I got invited last second. My boots were, I was in the middle of a move. My boot shrunk. I'm sure that's happened to a lot of people.
Yep.
I didn't take care of them properly. That's my own fault. But I have one time gone into a hunt like that, which I'm fortunate to not struggle there, but like do not recommend, obviously.
Honestly,
you know what I mean?
I think it is like a big myth that somebody like, oh, this pair of boots, brand of boots or whatever, this model, you don't need to break it in at all. It's like saying I can buy a new bow and just not breaking the strings in a way and I'll be fine just shooting 10 arrows. I can go do it. You know, your feet, everyone's feet are different.
Yeah.
But still, like, why would you want to buy something brand new and not test it first before you go on a hunt? It could be just your normal hunt that you do every single year. It could be a hunt of a lifetime. Why would you risk not preparing yourself for that hunt by testing those boots out ahead of time and actually getting them well beforehand? See if your feet like it, because everyone's feet are different. There's not one model that can work for everyone.
That's what's
or one
tough
style
with boots.
or stiffness or.
That's where I feel for the boot manufacturers too. I mean, you're talking, you know, like which boot manufacturer said, I think it's Kinnetrek, the most like well accepted, or most well-rounded accepted foot in their box. Which, I mean, is it true? Who knows? Because there's so many out there. I mean, you think t-shirt and jean sizing is bad? When you get into like foot and foot sizing, holy shit.
I think that's also why, correct me if I'm wrong, Trail, that maybe, you know, most boot companies, there's no custom insole that's made that works for everyone in a boot. That's why it's a pretty standard insole as well, because they have to make sure it meshes with everyone's different type of feet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Cody Bohr told me that Feet Finder, just his account, that
he's a feet finder guy, huh?
That feet that feet vary vastly.
Very vastly.
I'm not going to get into what he's into, but he said that there's a bunch of them that look very different.
Deepest, darkest secrets coming out here on the podcast.
No, but feet do vary, and I think you're right. I mean, I think different boots, I mean, depending on the manufacturer, I mean, a Hanwag is going to typically fit a different type of foot than like a Zamberlin or a Kinnetrek. They kind of have their, their last or their foot shape that they kind of go to, and it doesn't work for everybody. I mean, for me, my feet like a Hanwag boot. They just tend to work pretty much any of the
Are you of German descent? Are you?
Yeah. Last name like Kreitzer.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Do you think like the way they fit and what they're built for, do you think it is geographically specific to where they're manufactured?
I do. I don't think it's like you can't throw a blanket over every company and say that's absolutely the case. But generally speaking, I would say that if you look at the boots that are, German, come from Germany, German made, a Hanwag, a Loa, something like that, they're a little bit more roomy through the forefoot. They're much more closely shaped than some of the boots like a La Sportiva or a Scarpa, which are a little bit more narrow, long, foot. So I do, I think there's something to it. I think there's something to the fact that maybe, the regions, that descendant type of foot shape works better for some brands than others. So I definitely think there's something.
It's interesting
something to it. Yeah. And then you've got some like a Zamberlin. I mean, a Zamberlin's an Italian made boot, but they seem to kind of have a mix. They've got some narrow fitting stuff. They've got some wide forefoot stuff. So just depends.
When it comes to selecting a boot, what do you think are the basic considerations that you might personally look for? Obviously, maybe be hunt dependent. You go hunt dependent first, and then what else you're looking at? Like waterproofing, like leather versus synthetic, like flex. Like what's your
all
breakdown? They all need to pay attention to it.
Yeah, all of the above. It's
pros and cons to anything that you can think of right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess first and foremost, I think of the type of hunt you're going to be going on. So if I'm out on an antelope hunt, I want something light and flexible because I'm going to be covering a lot of ground. So I don't mind like an aggressive trail runner type of shoe like I've got one here on the end, which I really like, which is this little La Sportiva Mutant. I've had a couple of pairs of these. They used to make them with like a taller elastic piece that kind of goes over your ankle, which I like. But I like this. It's got good tread on it, but it's super lightweight. And for spot and stock antelope hunting, it's great because it's typically warm weather, early season.
And then
you're
do
just
you feel
breathable.
you'd need like something waterproofing capabilities like
I
Gore-Tex
don't,
on that?
No, I don't worry too much.
Yeah.
In fact, I want it to breathe a little bit better,
Yeah,
to be honest.
It's going to breathe more. Like since it's going to be breathing more, there's also a chance for it to pick up more dust and dirt inside there. So your socks might be dirty every day. That's a consideration. But
yeah, that Gore-Tex membrane's not going to breathe as well as if it doesn't have that. And it is going to kind of gum up and get a little bit dirty. It's not going to, breathe, and it's just not as comfortable on your foot. If you're not dealing with like wet weather and water, I don't think you need Gore-Tex. But
And the thing with pronghorn hunting too, it's like, walking in sand with ski boots on.
Yeah.
Like if you go too stiff, it is way more of a workout to walk through that spongy, sandier stuff,
Yeah.
And then having something that's more athletic and light.
Yes, I would say first, I think about the type of hunt. I mean, if I'm going on an elk or a mule deer hunt and it's pretty steep terrain, it's a lot of up and down. I found that I actually like a relatively stiff boot because over time, it's just better wear and tear on my calves.
Yeah, because that flex every single time your foot has more fatigue, and that fatigue is going to work all this way through your body and just impact you.
Yeah, it really works your calves and your legs versus when you've got some good rigidity in the sole, you can kind of dig your toe in or the side of the boot into the hillside, and it's going to give you some torsional stability as you go up or down. So I actually like kind of a semi-stiff. I don't like a super stiff boot, like unless I'm really hunting like alpine super steep stuff.
So what I'm also hearing is there's no one boot to solve all hunts. You pretty much need an assortment of boots for the terrain, animal.
And I mean, it depends on how much you're hunting and what you're hunting, but I would say for the most part, I like having a bunch of different options in my closet, depending on the type of hunt I'm going on. Early you said synthetic or leather.
Yeah.
I like a leather boot for like late season hunts because I think you get better waterproofing and I think you get better wear and tear out of a boot that's all leather because there's less seams. So if you got wet weather or snow, the more seams that you've got in a boot, it's just the more places for moisture to leak in, work its way into your socks and have wet feet. I like a leather boot late. You can also put like a waterproofer or snow still on it. So I like that. But early season, I like
You a bare fat guy on your leather boots?
Nah, just kind of like I've used snow still before. But generally,
you ever use bear fat on your leather boots?
No, I haven't. I have a ton of bear fat in my freezer right now.
Heard a
you're
lot
talking
of people.
like outright bear fat, like real bear fat.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people.
That's what they used to do like way back.
Yeah,
in the day.
I've heard a lot of
done that.
people
Big commodity.
say that that's the best for sealant.
Yeah, I've used just like leather conditioner, like an Obenoffs or something like that, but I've never used like a bear fat.
Yeah, so you're going to give up a little bit of weight maybe on a leather side compared to a full synthetic.
Yep.
And to me, it's like, I do love that classic look of a leather boot. I just feel like
There's something about it.
A rugged hunter, but I'm going to throw can I do a little story here for a second?
I think they're more
course.
comfortable too.
Yeah, I think too. I like the break in. Like, I think like you can never, the uppers on a leather boot are never going to wear out. So I was going to be the sole and you can always just resole them. But so I want to do this little story right now. So I want to talk about a little bit earlier. We talked about some stiff boots and never jump into a boot without trying it on fully. So it's last year. I'm getting ready for my mule deer sabbatical. You guys remember that?
I remember.
Vividly, yes.
Yep. And I walk in.
We didn't see you for a month.
Yeah. Okay, now. So I was getting ready for that hunt, and I have boots that are broken in. But right before a hunt, I like to start wearing my boots to the office. It's getting kind of cooler temperatures around here. So I've been wearing my leather boots.
What is that, like the 90s, 80s?
Yeah, cooler.
Exactly.
It was probably 90s by then.
Gotcha.
So I'm wearing my leather boots to the office. Porter, being Porter, keeps making fun of me. Like, why do you wear these big, heavy lugging boots or leather? You're a very technical, gear-focused, dialed hunter. Like, you go in some crazy, nasty terrain. Why are you bringing a leather boot? You need to get rid of that and get something technical. And technical to him means synthetic. It means stiff.
Technical to him means colorful.
Colorful as well.
Stiff.
Yep. So here I am, maybe 8-9 days before my hunt. Somehow let him convince me to switch over.
He is a very convincing individual when he gets going.
Yep.
He should be a lawyer. He makes a good pitch.
So he pitched me this thing. He's like, like, you're a technical hunter. I want to see you in something else. Like, why do you keep wearing leather? I'm like, I just love leather. I just love the feel of leather. It's like, it's kind of why I like wearing camo, because it feels like, some old, like, I'm
You're
going
in the
hunting.
game.
Yeah, I'm in the game. So he convinced
Feel
me.
good, play good, man. So it's our uniform.
So I go in steep, nasty terrain where a stiffer boot could benefit. Like we said, that flex. I'm definitely getting more fatigued every single time I'm putting my foot on the ground. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. I have 8-9 days to prepare for this hunt. I pick up a pair of stiff boots, flex rating 5. Start trying to break them in. So I have a very short time to break these boots in.
Which
so
boots were they?
what are these? The Makra or
The Matratech?
Yeah, Matratech
Scarpa?
Scarpas.
Matratech?
Yeah. So I grabbed those. I'm starting to wear them at the office now every day. I get home, going on my treadmill, super steep incline, trying to break them in, walking around my neighborhood. I don't have time to go on like a big hike because I had to get a bunch of work done because I'm gone. The sabbatical was really long. So I'm cramming every single night to try to get
By the
my
way,
work
I
done.
was going to put this in anecdotally. Your mule deer sabbatical that you were gone for a month and you didn't kill a mule deer.
Yes. Let's just make that knife just go deeper and deeper
Let's just
into
be
my
clear.
motivation.
The mule deer
Stick it in and
sabbatical
twist.
with no mule deer. With multiple kills, no mule deer.
Yeah, I had a phenomenal season, like one of the best seasons I've ever had in my life.
No mule
but
deer.
there's that no mule deer in the middle that makes it like, dude, was it really the best?
Okay, keep going.
Yep. So yeah, I'm trying to break in these boots every single day. I go on my hunt, bring in these new boots. So they're slightly broken in, but again, I don't run a stiff boot ever. I've done it once before, and I'll get into the second time now. Starting to hike up, I'm like maybe 3 miles into my hike. Just my feet are like, whoa, what's this going on down here? Like, this is hot, very weird pain. I'm like, and I can.
Your feet are talking to you.
Yeah, you guys know I can book up a mountain.
Oh, do I know? Yeah.
I got I'm built.
Long legs.
I'm built for the mountains. I got super long legs. I like taking big
You're the
strides.
spider monkey in the backcountry.
Yeah, I just like to get there and get there fast. I have a super heavy pack, super heavy rifle, all my gear, load up for big haul. I stop. I'm like, I just gotta stop. My feet are. What's going on with my feet here? I've been hiking all summer, but this feels weird. Pop off my boots. Pull off my socks. Like 50-cent piece size blisters on both my heels.
Ooh.
From these brand new boots.
Oh.
Right on the back.
Right on the back of the
You
heel.
got a picture of it?
Yeah.
We'll got to put
Did
that
you
up.
feel them coming on?
I felt them a little bit. I probably should have stopped a little bit before that,
Oh,
but
that's
I'm
the
also
word.
thinking too, like I just, it's whatever. I'm
Are you guys
going.
like me that when you'll be hiking along and you've got a pair of boots that are on your heel and you're starting to feel a little bit and you're like, maybe. I'll keep pushing. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop.
I don't want to know what's
I
going
don't want
on.
to know what's going on. It'll be okay. I'll just tape it up. And then when you finally peel them off, you're like, oh,
I should have
my
stopped.
Yeah. So I pop off my socks. I do have this. And I do actually think I did some audio because this is the hunt I was self-film vlogging.
Yeah.
And I do think I was like, this is why you never listen to Porter on his boot suggestion right before a hunt and make me go stiff and technical. And technical, again, like I said, colorful.
Yeah.
Totally different than a leather boot that just looks beat in and well worn. And I've used it forever and I'm comfortable. So now here I have to go the next, whatever it was, 5 days with my heels absolutely destroyed. And if you want to knock me down to the point where you're going to take a guy who's built for the mountains and make me feel like I'm a flatlander, just give me some giant blisters. It was not fun to go
Did you
hike.
bring any treatment for
Leuco-
it? Did you
I
bring
had
anything?
Leukotape?
Yeah.
But
Still hurts.
These blisters were gnarly and they're already ripped
Sounds
open.
it.
Like
I mean,
giant blisters.
Were they open already?
Yeah, they were already open
You
a
just
little bit.
peel them?
No, I just
You
left
just
them.
left skin and put Leukotape
Yeah.
over them?
And so then, as I kept going every day, I was like, well, I have Leukotape on. I need to let that sucker air out at night. So I'd rip the Leukotape off.
Oh, baby.
It's like, that hurts. The next day I put it back on. So these blisters now are getting bigger and bigger and bigger because they're just, the skin's finally starting to peel off throughout the night or whatever. And I'm peeling it off, that Leukotape. And just knocking me down to the point where it's like painful to go on my daily hikes away from
did
camp.
it ever keep you from like getting to a certain point?
Oh, there were
or-
certain points where I thought about dropping down and going over.
But
and
you just wouldn't do it?
And I want to, me, I want to go to the next ridge, go really far
Yes.
and go further
That's
in.
why I'm asking. Like, did it
Impede
It was
legitimately hold you
impede me
back?
here. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hurts.
It hurts because every
I'm
step
so
you make.
fortunate to not deal with this, but like I can feel for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like
I got
I've-
blood
I've
poisoning
never-
one time from this.
Blood poisoning?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So it's just at the point where you can start to feel it tingle up your leg almost. Like it's starting to I'm walking different. So now I'm walking different. So my
Your
hips are
hips
kind of hurt.
Yeah, hips are the
It's
first
like
thing.
affecting all my body right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm going through that hunt or that part of that hunt. And I'm like, finally, when I decided to, bail out of this area and go to a new spot, I was like, thank God. Because I had my trusty leather boots back down in my truck.
Which ones were those?
The Canatrek Mountain Extremes. And switched into those. And it was like almost night and day. So I think my feet, just me personally, I can't handle a stiff boot. I have some stiff boots before. I'll jump in that. It's the second time I've worn stiff boots. I had a pair of stiff boots back in the day. They're custom boots. You can do some additions, like they'll fix things on it for you. kept sending them back, doing some extra things. I could not make that boot work for me. I tried it for 2 seasons. Every time I put that boot on, I get a blister. Doesn't matter how much I've been hiking, how tough my feet are, it just does not work for me.
It could be the stiffness of the sole. It also could just be the shape of
that heel?
your heel pocket.
So I have a very
movement.
smaller heel, and my heel always does not want to move up and down. So I don't know if it's the way my foot's structured, but I feel like my foot always wants to flex. So no matter how many socks I can, put a liner sock on, another sock over top of it, my back heel will always, like I've even done the boot tying techniques, like tie your boot differently to try to lock that thing down there. But it's just stiff boots, just not for me. And I think it wrecks every time I've done it. I've only done it twice, so I don't have a very big sample size here.
But if it's 2 for 2,
2 for 2,
plenty.
giant blisters, and that was horrible for me.
I always say 1 time means you were lucky, twice means it's real.
Yeah.
And
So
that goes
now,
for everything in life. Like if you do want something once, you were just lucky.
So sure, I didn't get a full chance to break those in. But my feet are tough. I've been scouting all summer, hiking all the time. I hike all the time here, like running, working out, and just wrecked me. So
I had one time where I got a giant blister and it opened up, like you're saying, and I taped it up, and then I would let that thing dry out, and over time it was like starting to crack, with the creases in your heel. And it got down like real deep and it was bleeding. And I got home and I think it was my dad said, "Hey, you got something going on with your foot," but you can see that I had a vein in my leg and it was just bright red running up my leg. So I had to get on antibiotics for that.
Holy
shit!
shit!
Yeah, you don't want to
man.
mess around with your feet.
No.
Blisters can be bad.
I have a different, because I don't struggle with the blisters, but like talking about the stiff boots. So I do prefer a stiffer boot in real steep country, and my reason is just what I feel. I don't know if this is the actual science behind it by any means, but like I am a heavier guy. I'm just a denser build than you, right? I take shorter steps. It takes me more steps to get places that you're going. I got short, little, tiny legs.
girthy though.
Girthy, strong, girthy.
Surprisingly fast, Lorenzo.
Surprisingly
He is really
fast,
fast. You've
but-
seen him run? We did those like sprints.
I've only raced one time. It was, the first year I worked
Yeah,
here, we did a
yeah.
foot race, and I got smoked.
Yeah.
I got sprinters.
I wasn't young. I wasn't old then either.
No, like it was one thing I can proudly say about myself is my vertical and my speed. It was all there. My thing is endurance, like the endurance stuff. It just takes me, 4 steps for your 1 step, right? Like, so what I find with myself is my calf gets burnt out. My calves get burned out super quick because my weight, just my general body weight for one. So when I get a stiffer boot and I can rely on my quads to take more of the work. Like that's where I find a lot of my efficiencies hiking is working my upper legs and not relying on that foot flex and my calves all the time.
Yep.
I feel it big time when I don't have a stiff enough boot. But my thing is my left knee that I've never repaired since football. If I get too stiff and it takes away my ankle and foot flex, it makes all the side to side flex and it makes all that stuff come from the knee, right? If you strap that down, it just kind of works its way up the chain. And my left knee starts to take a lot of the stability, like a lot of the stability work, which I can't do very well. So I have a really hard time manipulating the perfect amount of flex and not flex, because then my knee will start taking it. And then the first thing that goes for me is my hip, because then I want it off my knee.
Yep.
So then I start using my right leg harder and then my hips get fucked up. And that's where, like when I go down in the backcountry, like real sore, that's what it's all coming from for me. But the stiff boot, like getting all that work out of my calf is what I prefer.
And it's a big deal. I mean, I went on an elk hunt, I remember, and we had 2 tags. We killed a bull on the second day. Those 2 days I'd been wearing like a trail runner, like a real flexible shoe. And it was great for just bombing around. I was super quick. I had probably 45, 50 pound pack on my back.
You're always a light guy. Can't believe how light you go.
Yeah, I was cruising. I mean, and I felt pretty good. Packed that elk out, and I was like, got a lot of weight on my back at that point, and my calves are just torched.
Yeah.
Just absolutely torched, and then traded out for a stiffer boot halfway through the hunt, went back out, and it was like night and day difference. And that was for me. I was like, I always really like a super flexible running style shoe. I've got a bunch of those and I've hunted with them over the time and I've liked them, but they're not great for like long-term backpack heavyweight hunts. It just torches my calves.
Yeah. So do your calves go first too?
Yeah, typically my calves.
Oh, man,
yeah. So I've
me
gone
too.
back to like if I'm elk hunting and I'm backpacking, I've got 50 pounds with the potential of having 80, 90 when I'm packing meat. I do so much better in a boot that's got some stiffness to it.
And I really wanted to love the stiff boot because I actually took those to Tajikistan as well, the Scarpas that gave me all the blisters because I
You're trying to go 3 for 3?
I was giving it a longer
Loyal
run
guy.
because I had also
go
then
3 for 3.
hunted with those boots for 5 days, and I was starting to wear them around the office more. I use those as my travel boots. Those are also my backup boot then if I needed it.
Yeah.
But again, so I understand that in super steep terrain that you're hunting, big gnarly mountains, sticking your toe in there and not having to flex it. I can get up there maybe a little quicker, so I'm not having to, work that energy the whole time. So I get their purpose. And maybe I don't know, maybe I should just give them one more try in the summer.
I mean,
but,
I don't know.
I mean, if you broke that boot in, it might do you
well,
okay. But I will say, like, people, Brandon loves a stiffer boot.
Yeah,
he tends to break it in pretty damn quickly. I would say for most people, you probably think in your mind that you like a stiff boot. Reality is you probably like a little bit more flex than you think.
Yeah.
With regard to Brandon,
I agree.
Brandon really likes a stiff
Brandon
boot.
goes literally like ski boot.
Yeah,
stiff.
he loves a super stiff boot. I found very few people that actually love that type of boot.
Yeah.
But there are some.
Mm-hmm. And then to go back in time, you remember all the archer hunts I used to do, and then that big archer hunt with you.
Yes.
I was wearing I don't even know if you can call it a shoe.
Tennis
Because it was so minimalist.
You're wearing tennis shoes.
And we were backpacking in we were past.
Weren't you wearing the speeds? Back then?
Yeah, the Solomon Speed Cross.
Yeah.
Speed Cross.
In deep backcountry, heavy packs.
Heavy packs, gnarly terrain, but that really worked well for me. Like I never was.
Do your calves go? Do you feel your calves at all?
Maybe it's because I have benefit because I have such a longer
I would
leg
think
down
so.
there, but not really. And even though I like that soft flex on an archer hunt because I can use those as stock. So I can. Then I'm hiking too. I can feel when I'm stepping on a rock, and so my foot can rotate around it.
There's something to be said for that, for sure.
But that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
There are definitely use cases for a flexible type of shoe like that. I wore the Salewa. You've got one, I think.
That Wildfire.
Yeah.
GTX.
So I wore that Wildfire GTX on my mountain goat hunt, and it was exactly what I needed because real rocky. I mean, there's no vegetation at all. It's straight rock. And the flexibility in that thing just allowed me to really work through the rocks. All the dexterity I needed with my feet.
And it's got grip too in that rock too.
Tons of grip. Real soupy, grippy sole. And then I find the same thing like on elk hunts. I've been on in late season Arizona, just super really rocky terrain. A real flexible shoe like that is great. It just allows you tons of dexterity with your feet.
I will throw the side caveat in there that we already had heavy packs going in.
Well, this was back to just some more information here, like how heavy our packs actually were. This is before we knew what we were doing on hunt films.
Yeah,
we brought in the Goal Zero,
one of those little generators.
the generators.
Oh, you did
we brought
like
in
the
tons of
Sherpa?
solar panels.
Is that what they're called?
I mean, we
kept
heavy.
trading off on carrying the generator.
We were so heavy because we didn't know what we were doing. Mather at the time he brought 2 cameras, like full setups.
Yeah.
We didn't know. It's like anything in life, you kind of learn it as you go to get more efficient. And this was the first go. So we just literally brought everything. So the amount of weight, that was crazy.
Yep. So that weight hurts. And then you throw an animal on your back eventually. Obviously, I did not recover that deer, but other hunts that I've been on using shoes, archery hunting in Nevada, we're packing out meat at the end. That's when it hurts. It hurts so much when you're packing
downhill
out
without
with
it.
No support and such a flex thing, with all that weight. Yeah, that's when. But I realize then too, I sacrifice every single day carrying a lighter shoe because it's less, force. What is it every 1 pound on your feet is 5 pounds on your back. That's like that study back in the day, the U.S. military, and then I think someone who climbed Everest kind of maybe coined that. But there's something to be said about that. But then we throw that weight on there. It's only a short time. I'm going out. I can recover afterwards.
Yeah.
But every day I feel fresher having a lighter boot maybe. But I'm definitely giving up something.
That's the interesting thing about hunting is our job to do is to hunt and be successful, which a lot of the times in the backcountry is archery hunting. So we're not just pure mountaineers where we're just trying to summit.
Yeah.
Noise doesn't matter, any of that stuff.
Yeah,
and
an
just work
approach
your
shoe
way
would
back
be
down.
great for that.
Yeah, there is some give to that ski boot that Brando likes and some people like. There is the other side of it where you might want to flex down a little bit and give up some of it because you want to be able to stalk and kill at the same time. It's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, you kind of have to find a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Something that works for you, that's comfortable, to get you where you need to be and allow you to be successful, but then also provide the support and the stability to haul a 90-pound pack off.
Yeah. Yes.
Should we run through goHUNT stiffness scale?
Yeah.
I actually have it pulled up here. I could go through and read it.
Yeah, run through it.
So we basically created our own stiffness scale to help guide people through their boot selection. So it goes from 1 to 5, flex 1, flex 2, et cetera, all the way to flex 5. So I have it pulled up. I'm just going to read word for word. I think it'll help people. Flex 1. We describe that as built for light and fast trekking. Think of your favorite trail running shoes, but capable of rocky, demanding terrain. Flex 2, flexible enough that they offer out-of-the-box comfort but can handle miles of rocky terrain, perfectly suited for mild to moderate mule deer, elk, antelope country. Flex 3, ideally suited for mountain hunts with moderate to steep technical terrain where more rigidity is required. Some break-in time is required, but will likely become your favorite do-everything hunting boots. So now we're getting the stiff dogs. Flex 4, best suited for hunts at or above timberline where the terrain gets steep, flexible enough that it can handle miles of comfortable climbing, but stiff enough to offer support and rigidity with a heavy pack. Flex 5, the stiffest boot options built for alpine, hunting and mountaineering, sheep hunting, mountain goat, and the toughest of elk and mule deer terrain. So every single boot profile when you go to the goHUNT gear shop has that flex rating.
Yep.
And I think it's just, it's a very valuable thing to understand. Like we're going through all these boots and
Flex
talking
5
about flex.
should just say ski boot.
Yeah.
Think ski boot. This is Flex 5.
Plastics, going up Everest.
When I was right out of college, I was working, doing some wildlife surveys, but I was working along with this crew that was doing seismic drilling, and those guys were all Canadian. Those guys were all wearing plastics.
Really?
Yeah, day in and day out wearing plastics, and it's because they were working with like heavy machinery and they were working real steep terrain. But I could not believe that those dudes were just walking around in plastics. But they're also Canadian, so
Yeah, some crazy Canadians.
yeah, crazy Canucks,
Neighbors to the
right?
north.
Yeah,
But yeah, that flex scale is hugely helpful, or at least it has been for us. For me, I don't want to speak for you guys. Just kind of picking through new boots. I mean, we're all gearheads at the end of the day, right? Like it's not my preference to always switch boots, but we have the great ability to do that. So I like doing it. So I wore the Monta Tech on Porter's hunt, and it was I couldn't wear this on an archery hunt. It would definitely impede my ability to stalk for sure. I mean, I liked it for that snowy, slippery, technical, some of those climbs that we were doing there, but it's more of, it's rifle hunting. You're not trying to close distance, but this would definitely impede me for sure. This Alewa, which I can't remember, the Mountain Trainer 2 mid GTX. This Alewa right here has been my like all around go-to. Yeah. So I killed my archery bull in this year. Used this on my wife's elk hunt. We killed her bull. Like I think this is Flex 3. You guys want to look at Flex 3? Man, this has been my like full well-rounded go-to. I wore this in Mexico. Yeah. I just wore this in Mexico as well.
Yeah, I think a Flex 3 is a good middle of the road. It's kind of a do everything kind of boot. You can mule deer hunt, you can elk hunt, you can get away with some antelope hunting. It may be a little bit stiff. It might not be stiff enough for some like real alpine stuff, but it's kind of the middle of the road. Yeah. And typically what I tell people is like, if you're shopping for a boot, find a boot that you like, compare that Flex to the Flex rating of other boots that we've got in the shop and kind of help you give you an idea on what you're looking for as far as flexibility.
And just for me personally, like I feel my cat when I was coos hunting down there, I felt my caps in these Alewas, like 100% felt it. Whereas these heavier pack, because I had all the same optics but a lot more gear, I did not feel my caps at all in the Monta Techs. But like, dude, there's no way I could wear that September high country trying to kill something with a bow. There's no way. Yeah. I would not feel athletic enough to like push that last bit, Yeah,
absolutely. Brady, what are some of your favorites? What are you running over there?
Oh man. So I brought 4 boots in here that I pretty much run throughout the year. Like some of my scouting, I kind of just like to go light and fast. So I will sacrifice a little bit because I'm not carrying as much gear in the summer scouting. It's a little bit hotter.
Just optics.
So again, I want something that can breathe, even though this is a GTX, but I do love the Salewa Wildfire GTX mid. Again, I wear this antelope hunting.
I wish that fit my foot.
Yeah. It is a little tight getting on.
I lose
it does have this
blood
like built-in gator type thing at the top, so it's kind of a little awkward to slip into. But this,
I got a chunky
really works well
upper
for me.
leg or lower leg, upper foot.
Yep.
And I lose blood flow. But man, I love those boots. I wish I could wear them. I really do. But I can't get the circulation.
And I've worn this on quite a few muzzleloader deer hunts as well. It's like to me, I can backpack in it, but it's just gonna be light and fast. And then like another one of my like lighter weight favorites is the I'm gonna break. What am I blanking on the name right now? Hanwag.
Feel like it's some kind of bird.
I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I'm just totally blanking on the name. I can't remember why, but
Tatra.
Tatralite, that's it. Yeah. I have the
not a bird.
Ball right
Let's
there.
be clear. Retract
Sounds
that.
like a bird.
Yeah. Tatralite. This is like a go-to bear hunting boot for me. It's that like hybrid, it's not super flexible, but it's enough to get me by.
What flex is that one?
I believe this is a 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
2.
And I just like Hanwag boots. They fit me really well, like we were saying before. I can feel like I can put that on and still just, I don't think, like I said, it's going to contradict what I said before, but I don't feel like this needs as much break in as another type of boot.
My pinky toes get pinched in the Hanwags. That's my issue.
They have
with
a
Hanwag.
narrower toe box.
Yeah.
And then like for a lot of the mule deer hunts, I did some other like high alpine, like muzzleloader stuff, or even, spring bear again. And then scouting, if I'm going to carry some heavier optics like my BTX 115 and I'm going to, make it a longer scouting trip, then I switch over to the Alverstone 2s from Hanwag.
Alverstones are nice.
I would say that's one of our best selling boots in the gear shop.
Alverstone?
Yeah, the
that's a
Alverstone
nice
too.
boot.
Yeah, everybody seems to really like it. Why do you like it?
All around the same thing. I feel like I have enough flex. I can feel when I'm walking around. I don't ever believe, we can maybe get in this discussion later, I don't believe in, you need a ton of ankle support, and this does have nice flex side to side because it's
the upper in that
gives.
is synthetic. The lower is leather, and the upper on that, even though it's tall, it's not super stiff in the upper.
I feel like again, it fits my foot really well because I do have a skinnier foot, and I'm not like the Hobbit foot over here, Lorenzo. Like,
let's be clear. It's not an actual Hobbit foot.
Hobbit.
It is just, it's not
Hairy
hairy and,
foot. Hairy.
and stubby. I actually have a giant, I wish my
Bilbo
height,
Baggins.
I wish my hat.
again, anytime I can talk about Lord of the Rings on the podcast, you guys know I'm going to toss it in there.
I wish my height matched my foot size, but I definitely do not.
But like in terms of a boot that I could do a lot of different hunts, I feel like the Alverstone just fits that mold of what I'm kind of looking for.
You know what they say about big feet though?
No.
Big socks.
Big socks. Yeah, and then
Cody, what did I say?
But then again, when I get into my bread and butter, these late season mule deer hunts that I just love and crave, I'm going completely leather boot.
And you like the Kenetrek?
The Kenetrek, this is the first year I've used the Kenetrek.
Oh, really?
Yeah, first year.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah, like
That is actually kind of wild.
That's
I know,
amazing.
it's like the
because
classic
they were
boot
like
that-
the first
They
of the
were
game.
staple
Yeah.
of Western.
Like 5 years ago or something like that. That's what people had was
Yeah, so
Kenetrek.
I've used a swath of different, leather boots, and I do like some more insulation because I've gone on some hunts back in the day. You guys probably know what I'm talking about, that below zero hunt.
Yep.
Where I thought like, I hike all the time. I don't really need insulated boots because I'll just stay warm and hiking. But like that hunt, because the storm just was crazy and my feet were numb the whole entire time having a non-insulated boot.
You work, your feet's wet.
Yep,
you sit to
exactly.
glass, and you got snow covering your entire
Down
But
booties.
that's that balancing point.
down booties.
That's
That's
what
that
you
balancing point though. Like if you're going to do one of these hunts, if like, well, I just want one boot. I want to get a boot that has like 400 grams or 1,000 grams. I'm going to wear that in September, roll that into October, wear it in November. If you wear a heavy insulated boot, those early seasons, your feet's going to sweat more.
Oh, yeah.
So if it is a little bit colder and your feet's sweating and you don't need that insulation, you stop in glass. Again, you're going to want to put those booties on them because your feet are just going to be sweating. So your
wet.
feet are going to be cold.
Yeah,
It's gonna be wet.
not good.
But like a late season hunt, I'm going to lean towards more insulation. So I always like that 400 to 1,000.
Yeah.
And so I got these 1,000 grams this year, mainly because of the hunt in Tajikistan. And so that's why I used them all in the mule deer hunts. And that, I guess, I should say, an elk hunt, right? Because
Well, I mean,
was an elk hunt,
your
the second
mule
one.
deer sabbatical
you did
with
shoot
no
an
mule
elk.
deer.
I did shoot an elk, yeah.
Let's just be clear. It was a mule deer sabbatical with no mule deer.
With no mule
Well, I
deer.
know that's what we'll call it.
with an elk.
So
Yeah,
everyone's
no.
clear
In the
about
mix.
this.
Yeah, so I was
And a
wearing
Puma.
that same boot all year just to break it in for Tajikistan. And I've grown to love that boot.
You liked it.
Honestly, I love everything
Gotcha.
about that boot. I killed after I switched from.
How much break-in time did you put into that boot? Did you wear it quite a bit?
I wore quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because it is a Flex 4, which surprised me. I think it could be probably a 3.5 because I feel like it's a little more flex, but I don't know.
It's a little. I'd say it's a decent
solid-
4. It's
solid 4?
If it's different than your Alverstone.
Oh yeah, by far.
So your
yeah.
Alverstone, I would say it's like a 3. So I would put the Kenetrek at a 4. Yeah, my very first pair of Kenetreks was probably one of the best boots I ever owned, but it's been, like I said, 25 years ago. I wore those things completely through the sole to the point where the toe, you could see
Through
all
it?
the way through to
That's a full wear.
to my sock. And I love that boot ever since then. And I don't know if they've changed something, but that boot will eat my heel alive.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember you saying that. I have a lot of experience with Kenetreks.
Yeah.
That's what I started all my Western hunts in.
I wanted to buy. I've bought 3 pairs since, and I just can't seem to get this exact same fit that I had with that original pair. But there are a ton of people that love that boot.
Yeah, and I just love it too because it ends up breaking, like molds to my foot, it feels like.
And it's tall.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
It's a
10 inch,
yeah.
11 inch maybe. It's tall.
So like I love how now all the lace areas are just molded in that leather.
Yeah.
I tighten it every time.
It'll hit
It's
its
just
creases.
perfect.
And
But I
fit
will
in.
mention too that since I do have a skinny ankle and I feel like I have a skinny shin area, I'm always tightening these boots to the point where the laces are touching on every single
Yeah,
one of my boots,
I've
no matter
seen
what
it.
boot I do.
Yeah.
So
I have the exact opposite.
that
issue.
also maybe could mean why some
I have
stick
no
boots-
lace left to tie.
Yeah, and
and
mine are
your
just as tight
leathers
as they
are
can
touching
be.
both sides.
Yeah. The eyes are always just touching on the boot
Yeah.
when I'm tightening them up. But I just love a leather boot and what I can break it into.
That,
and
the
it's
sheep
just
hunt I was
molds.
talking about with my dad, fresh out of the box, was that Kinnetrek.
Yeah.
The Mountain Extreme, non-insulated, but my dad asked me if I wanted to go on a sheep hunt. This is pre goHUNT, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'll go. And so I tried to get all my gear together. It was like 3-day notice. I was just going to watch him, and because he didn't want to go alone, which I'll go be a
Sure, I'll go
spectator on a
look for
sheep hunt
sheep.
all day long. But we went up there and my boots weren't fitting. So I actually had to stop in Canada in a sports store in Canada. And they had Kinnetreks, and that's what I took off the shelf, out of the box, brand new on a sheep hunt. And I was totally fine. But I was wearing, that was a boot that shrunk on me to begin with, was the same boot. So, you know, I knew my foot liked it, but there was zero break-in straight out of the box. I'm not the best. I just don't struggle with those hot spots, so I'm not the best person on that.
That is a pro and a con of a leather boot, is that it will stretch some, so like kind of mold your foot over time. But also, you get that thing really wet and you put it in direct sunlight, it's going to shrink up.
Or a garage in Vegas where it's 120 degrees.
And that's also
And I just was not paying attention.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, it was my own fault, like I said. But I mean, what do you expect?
when you're on these late season hunts and you got a stove, you got to be cautious how close you put those boots next to a stove.
Do you got a story?
You got a story?
I got one for sure.
Oh, let's hear it.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was in Alaska. I went on that moose hunt and had a pair of these actually because I'd been on an elk hunt, and then I drove from. So I packed out 2 bulls.
What are those, by the way, just for clarity?
Yeah, so this is a Hanwag Makra Combi, which is a synthetic leather boot, relatively stiff. I think it's a 4-flex, so it's got more stiffness than like the Trek does. But I'd been wearing this on an elk hunt with Neville, and we'd gone to Wyoming. We killed 2 bulls. We packed out 2 bulls in 2 days. Archery hunt, typical Wyoming high country hunt. It was great for archery hunting. And then I drove to Salt Lake, threw all my gear out in the parking lot, put it back together, and then jumped on a plane and flew to Alaska and went on a moose hunt. Got up there, hunted moose. It did okay, but one night the guy I was hunting with, I think he kind of kicked my boot up under the stove a little bit. And I got up the next morning, and the whole end cap of this boot was completely sunk in. Like
I remember seeing your boots. Yeah, you say that when you got back.
All the rubber rand here around the toe was completely sunk in. Probably, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch. I'd say it was like, I bet it shrunk that boot to. So like my boots are like 11 and a half. I bet it at the time. It was probably like a size 10. I mean, I'd lost an inch at least, inch and a half in one
right foot or
one
left
boot.
foot?
My right.
So your bigger foot.
My
too.
bigger, my bigger foot. So what we did is we took, I think we had a towel or a t-shirt, and we took that thing and heated it up in boiling water, and we just packed it down the end of that boot and just got it hot and just packed it wet down in there and just kind of stretched it out. And I did get it to a point where I could finally fit my foot in it.
So it shrunk enough you could not even get your foot in.
I could barely get my foot into it. I mean, my toe was like pulled, way back. But I made it work for the next 5 days, I guess. But
Brutal.
Holy
yeah,
shit.
you definitely want to watch that. Like when you're hunting late season with a stove, you want to be aware of where your boots are in relation to it.
Especially any sort of custom orthotic or whatever you have. If you pop one of those out and stick it next to the stove as well, that thing can curl up on you, and it's going to take
You got a story there?
Yeah, that was we had a wall tent camp once back in Montana. Me and a bunch of college buddies, and I think at the time I had super feet. Took my super feet out. Wall tent stove, rocking hot in there. It's like Africa hot.
Africa.
You're basically down to a t-shirt walking around.
Yeah.
But my boots were wet because of snow.
How nice is that in a late season stormy hunt, though?
It's just
the
a classic
best.
fun hunt when you have a wall tent and a big stove. And I popped them out, stuck them underneath the stove by accident. They're soaking wet. Like I need to dry these things off. And of course, you fall asleep and like, oh yeah, I'm going to wake up a little bit and deal with that. Left them all night. Those suckers just curled and that like material just like got hot and moved upwards. So when I put my foot in there, it was just a big hard ball like right in the arch of my foot. And it was just super awkward the rest of the hunt. And I couldn't I tried to stick it underneath it again, heat it up and like mush that thing down. But no, those are toast.
Yeah, you want to be aware of it.
Yeah, I don't have any stories like that on a hunt. Mine's just the one in the garage, which I did honestly freak out about because I went to put them on to travel in on the plane because, don't take up any bag space. And I'm like, well, fuck, this ain't going to work. So then I'm scrambling. And then we had to stop in town, which you pretty much always overnight in one of the bigger towns there before you get picked up, which is easy. But I was stressed, but man, I've never burned them on a stove or any of that shit.
Yeah, cool, dry place to dry your boots out. Never direct sunlight if you get them soaked.
And it's something we have to be cautious about too, living in Las Vegas or if you're an Arizona person in California. Like if you put your boots in your truck and you're going to leave them there all day at work, your hunting boots, oh, no way. That's bad. Bad news.
Yeah.
And that goes for a lot of stuff here though. Optics, ammo, leaving ammo in your garage through the summer. It'll degrade it just enough.
What do you guys like? We talked a little bit about flexibility. I think it's just like different strokes for different folks, right? And different types of hunts. I would say if you're looking for a new boot, kind of that 3 flex is a good middle of the road spot to start. But what do you guys like for height on a boot? Does that matter to you?
I don't know if it really matters to me. Like I said, I go by this principle that I think, guys who are saying, oh, I need a tall boot for ankle stability. I think ankle stability is a myth.
How so?
NBA.
Dig deep.
NBA. Basketball shoes. We were wearing 8-inch shoes and playing basketball. How many of those guys are cutting back and forth, torching their ankles all the time, and they're just totally fine. I think it's just a crutch that people put in their head, like you need to have a tall boot for ankle stability. But I feel like you're limiting yourself because then it's going to be stiffer and you're not allowing it to flex. So I think you're getting yourself into trouble more where it's going to really, get sideways on you.
Is this like a water and coffee thing? Like the more you dehydrate yourself, the better you'll be.
It's my same mentality in my head. So it might not be true.
I've heard Brady's. I've put it to the test. I actually think there's something to it.
Yeah, because like if I have a boot that has more flex to it, I'm able to feel that train. I can counter it with the rest of my body as I'm walking.
Yeah.
But if it's super stiff, I might get my foot in a scary situation where it's going to be like that, and all of a sudden, boom! I like lean over and roll your ankle.
I have a really bad right ankle, and I will say that if I wear a boot that is not as stiff in the upper portion of it, it seems like I roll it, but it's not as bad.
Not as bad.
To me, it feels like when I roll my ankle in a boot that's got a really stiff upper, like it's a bad roll. Like it really twists my ankle really bad. So I think there is something to it.
And it's like, I think you can just slowly, maybe because I played basketball my whole life and my ankles are maybe stronger than most, but like, I don't know. I've never had to tape up my ankles and like I've never had to get a taller basketball shoe. Like all basketball shoes now are getting lower and lower and lower.
Yeah, they're all low top.
And those guys are, like I said, torching their ankles on a daily basis, and they don't have anything that's taller, try to support things. That was back in the day. Yeah, they had basketball shoes that were a lot taller that you lace up, but now we don't anymore.
I also buy into, I started trail running probably 5 or 6 years ago. Everything else I did was road running. I do think it's done wonders for my ankles as far as strengthening my ankles, running over uneven terrain and just occasionally catching a rock and adjusting with it. And I just wear a low top running shoe when I'm running. And I've had some twists. I've taken some half gainers, but I do think that overall, I think that's been really good for my ankles and getting stronger.
Yeah. I've never struggled with the ankles. Like I've always had to. It's my whole thing is my knee.
Cement block on this guy's foot and just.
I'm telling you, my ankle and foot is fantastic.
No
my
issues.
issue is
knees.
It's my left knee, which in turn has thrown off hips, right knee. Though it's all coming from my left knee, which is what I blew out on our backcountry hunt. But for me, like the size of upper for me, so I do pay attention to it only because how chunky the like upper part of my foot, lower part of my shin is. If it's too tall, like it will pinch the shit out of my shin right there, like my calf shin.
Mine too.
And
I don't like a really tall
too thick
boot
for it. Yeah, I don't like it.
I like my pack boots really tall.
Well, yeah, because it's the different use case,
different
right?
use case, yeah. But like you can see here, all these boots for the most part, except for the Kennetrick here, are the same height. What are they? 10 inches?
These are probably 8, 9, kind of in that 8 or 9 range.
Yeah.
And then
that's what I prefer.
Yeah, you get to a Kennetrick, you get to like a 10 or 11. What I find is like if I'm going, downhill, I'll pinch the back of my calf in a tall boot. So I'm not a huge fan of a tall
You got
boot.
some thicker calves.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
they're
if anyone hasn't seen Trail's calves,
He's
my
got some
God.
beefy calves.
Calf
He's like
do you
the-
get calf implants?
No,
He's
I've told you my calf story, haven't I?
No.
So I used to play pickup soccer, like on an intramural, like a league team there in Cedar City. And one time I was playing, I was kind of on the front line. And there was a defender, and he was a Latino guy back there. And he looked over and he was like, "Dude, your calves are huge." He's like, "How are your calves so big? What are you doing?" And I said, "Just hills, man." And he's like, "Hills?" And I said, "Yeah, hills." And he's like, "Hills?" And he like looked at me funny, and it took me a minute, but like he thought I was wearing high heels. He's like, he's like high heels. He's like, "Oh, you're strutting around in high heels?" And I was like, "No, man, like hiking the hills. I'm hiking hills. That's why."
Can you imagine if he didn't ask you to clarity on that? He just
He'd
figured.
have just got along figuring I wear high heels.
Yeah, he's
You do. I mean, they're
they're
you know
big.
those like hormonal injected chicken breasts. That's what Trail's calves look like. They're just like
I think it's just
They're just
I did
there.
do, but so when I was in high school, I had a guy who was always like, "Oh, if you want to dunk, you got to do calf raises." So I was just constantly doing calf raises. Like I was the guy on the bottom step, just constant calf raises.
well, it worked.
And
let
I
me
did
tell
dunk,
you.
and my calves did get big. But
Do you ever
they-
have jump soles? Those like
No, never
elevated
did.
shoes? I had those.
No,
Those
never
are
did.
baller for training. Probably not good for your.
No, but I do have
anything
big
else.
calves.
Yeah.
I don't like a tall boot. I like kind of an 8 or 9 inch boot.
Yeah, I'm saying for the same reason. Not stability, not any of that. It's just literally my leg won't take it. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, and they're also a little bit lighter, right? You get a tall boot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
I mean, a tall boot's kind of nice for winter because you've got a little bit added protection, a little, taller boot just to keep snow out. But overall, I kind of like 8 or 9 inches.
What's like a? Could we run through like general boot construction?
Sure.
What's the makeup of a boot? Like you got a rand, you got a sole, you got
So, I mean, the uppers are mostly either leather or suede. So you can see like this boot here, which is the Makra Combi, is got a lower portion that's a suede and then a synthetic. So it's like what we would say like a blend, right? So you get lighter weight boot overall because you've got mostly synthetic. And you've got some suede just like in your high wear areas. A suede is not going to wear as well as like a full grain leather.
Why would they do that? Why would they put that suede there?
It's lighter. It's cheaper, I'm sure, to produce, I would say, generally speaking, a boot that is suede or a synthetic leather or suede blend, it just isn't going to give you the wear and tear that an all leather boot will. There's just too many seams. And it's nice that it's lightweight and it's more breathable, but it's not going to be as weatherproof or give you as longevity as you might get with a full leather boot. And then typically like your upper here is like some sort of padded foam. You've got some boots like these Hanwags, which have like a leather foam upper. Your midsoles are typically like a nylon shank, and you'll get different combinations of like a full shank, which is like the full length of the boot, versus some that are like, portions.
yeah, that's kind of adding to the stability,
Yep,
the stiffness.
Yep, added to the stiffness. So obviously a full length shank and a boot, full nylon, and they vary by thickness. So the thicker that is, the more stiff that boot's going to be. So when you talk a boot like this La Sportiva Equilibrium, it's got a long full shank that's like a thicker nylon. Then you got your sole. I mean, different soles, different tread patterns. This one's kind of shallow for my liking versus something like this where you can see the tread
Deep
on that
and
thing
cleaty.
is super
Yeah.
deep.
It's going to dump that mud.
Looks like a
It's going to
cleat.
dump the mud. It's also great going downhill. I mean, you
Yeah.
got a full pack and you're going downhill real heavy. I mean, it's going to slow you down.
Yeah.
So-
And don't we have like I don't know what the right term is for it, like different cushion in the back, like EVA and
Yeah, the foam.
polyurethane. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see like this one here has got a nice EVA foam, which is going to be a little bit more cushioned versus something like this, which is very minimal.
Ethylene vinyl acetate.
Sure.
I just like leaping
And
into
then
that.
he used polyurethane.
Yeah. Yep. So you've got different types of foam with different levels of cushion, if you will. And I will say, I mean, like this boot here is built to kind of be light and fast and stiff for like alpine
That Makra
terrain.
Combi?
Yeah, Makra Combi, which is really nice for that. It's lightweight. I do feel good in it if I'm covering a lot of ground, especially early season. But I get this boot on, which is a Alaska GTX. It feels like you've got pillows on your feet. It's very cushy. You can really ride this thing for a lot of miles with a heavy pack and feel pretty good at the end of the day.
Do you like boots with like a full rubber rand that covers the whole entire bottom of the
Yeah.
boot, front toe cap?
I do. I mean, I like a full rubber rand. It just kind of keeps the keeps the boot protected, protects that lower portion of the leather. I don't know. I mean, I've had some boots that are like only partial. I'm trying to think. This Trek, one of these boots has a partial rand.
Yeah, this guy does the Tatra Light.
Yeah.
Just right in the toe box area.
Yeah, and I would say for the most part, you'll get a rubber rand in the key pieces of the boot to kind of protect it. But for the most part, it's not a huge deal unless you're like in scree, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're hunting sheep in Alaska and you're constantly side hilling into the hill, that rubber rand,
scarring your boot hard.
yeah, will kind of save your boot. And I know, I mean, I've talked to people that have gone on sheep hunts that have had some real issues with their boots because it just didn't have the protection.
Yeah.
And it just started to shred the side of the boot.
Man, it is gnarly. Sheep country, the side hill through the scree fields. It is.
Yeah.
It will tear up
Yeah,
your
you're
boots.
constantly digging into the side hill with the side of your
You're
foot.
using that. That's the side of your foot the whole way, and it tears up your boot.
Yep. Yeah. So there's parts and pieces, a lot of different options for you as far as boots go. I would say, I mean, what do you guys do? Have you found a boot that you kind of just stick with like over the years, or have you kind of bounced back and forth?
Sometimes bounce back and forth, but I feel like I have a pretty dialed system and like a 3-4 boot type thing, and it just really works for me. And like I said, I love the leather boots and love some flex in the early season, and there's no do it all option, but
That's one thing I was going to say, Lorenzo. I mean, you haven't had any foot problems, but I think it's also because you know what to buy in a boot.
Yeah, for sure. Like those macro combis, I had those, and for whatever reason, I usually don't like just go hiking, but for whatever reason, I think we were hiking like Turtlehead Peak. We were doing a little team.
You mean
thing.
you're not out hiking unless there's like a mule
Look,
deer at the-
I have fully
end of it.
accepted and come to terms with I am an absolute fucking meathead, and I fully accept it. I used to like be embarrassed about it and not want to talk about it. I'm fully into it. Not for aesthetics or any of that bullshit, but I like lifting weight and doing that kind of shit in the off season. I'm not like hitting the hills, climbing 1,000 feet a day kind of stuff's drives me nuts. It's too mindless for me. Anyways.
You don't have a map at home with all the tallest peaks in Nevada?
And I'm not trying to get my 1,000 feet
with a pin
day
on
in.
it.
And it's worked for me. I mean, will I have to switch it as I get older? Probably, but where I'm at now, no.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, we were going on a Turtlehead Peak. It was I'm pretty sure it was a team. We were doing like a team hike. Might have been when we were like trying to get our maps figured out when we were using it. I think that's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Trying to do tracks and all. And I wore those, and thank God I did, because what I realized is the depth, the height depth of the toe box was crushing the top of my toes.
Yep.
Like not the sides. It wasn't pinching my toe box, because I can feel that immediately when I put my foot in a boot like this one. What was this one again?
the
Tatra
Light.
Tatra. I can feel my toes pinched immediately when I put my foot in this boot. That one I never felt it, but I didn't realize like that little bit of swelling on going from uphill, resting, then going downhill, and then that downhill, the change of angle, it was crushing the top of my toes. And if I would have been on a hunt, that would have been brutal. Like it would have been the first boot to ever like put one of my feet down, like to put my feet down. So that's like my only boot that I can't hunt in that I know for sure. But I do stick like this Alewa, the Mountain Trainer 2 Mid GTX, like this boot. The first time I put it on, I sheep hunted with Clay Hill. He drew his sheep tag, bighorn sheep tag in Colorado, his archery tag, and I went out there to help him. And granted, it's not like we're at Timberline or any of that shit, but it was sheep country. And it was the first time I had worn this specific boot on a hunt, and I fell in love with it. So I've been wearing this thing ever since.
Gotcha.
Literally antelope hunts to elk hunts to everything. Now, if I do get this Wyoming tag this next year, let's knock on wood for the draws here, but I'll probably switch, and I honestly think I'm going to go back to the Kinnetrek. That's what I think, because this is too stiff for me on a backcountry stalking, all that, this Scarpa. What was this one again? The Manta Tech. I liked it, but it's definitely too stiff.
Gotcha.
So I'll probably find my way back to Kinnetrek, which I might have the same issue as you, because I haven't worn them in 10, 12 years. I don't even know how many years, but probably 10 years, 12 years, and maybe they did change something. So I don't know if my foot will like it.
Let me know what you think. Yeah. Maybe I guess we could bring it around full circle because you asked at the start of the podcast, like what it is I think about in terms of recommendations for people when they're buying a boot.
Mm-hmm.
I would break that down to really probably 3 or 4 factors. So one being your forefoot, both the width and then also the volume that you're talking about. That's the
volume's a smarter way to say it.
Yeah. So the depth of your foot per se, and some people's feet are just more voluminous, right?
Yep.
They're bigger. They take up more room. So you want to think about both the width and the volume of your forefoot. Secondly, I would think about your heel. So like your heel lock. Do you have like a narrow heel? Like I do. I think you do.
Yep, I do as well.
You seem to as well. Your foot seems interesting in the fact that it's wider in the forefoot, but you also seem to have like a more narrow.
I got like
heel.
a duck foot, and then the volume of it too. It's like I got some volume on it.
So I would say think about those 3 things, and then as we run through here, I'm looking right now. I think we asked earlier, we carry 140 different SKUs or different boots. So like different boots. I would say
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah, I would say hands down we have the best selection in boots, definitely within our space, and probably within any mountaineering space.
Yeah.
When we do
down.
things, that's kind of our DNA is to do it right. And it's the only way to do it right and give the true options out there for all the different people. We had to go deep in boots. It's the only way to do it.
In boots, you just don't walk into a different store and check out. Like these are
you can't do
special
like
mountain boots.
our pack selection. Like you can't do that with boots. Our pack selection is very narrowed to, you can only get so much better and so much different in that category. Boots is entirely different.
Yeah, but we have 140 different options. I would say ideally if you can, if you came to Vegas, it would be worth your time just to come down here and like sit down with Paul and let him fit you with a pair of boots. You have tons of different options.
Paul's a stud with boot fitting.
Yeah, but if you can't, generally speaking, I would say, I run down through the list here and I'm looking, you mentioned Salewa, and it doesn't surprise me one bit that you like Salewa boots because they are a smidge wider through the forefoot. They have a very nice tight heel pocket. I would say hands down, it's the best heel pocket of all the boots that we carry.
Yeah.
They've got this wire system you can kind of see here in the back that really creates this nice tight heel pocket.
Tuck in. Your heel feels like it just got tucked into bed.
I will say, like when I slide my foot into a pair of Salewa boots, you can almost hear the air being sucked out as it
reminds me of being tucked into bed at night as a kid.
It's
just like, ooh,
tuck into bed.
It's like that's what my heel feels like.
Yeah. So I would say if that's kind of your foot shape, you're looking for a little more volume up front, you got a nice, narrow heel and you want a nice fit, I would say take a hard look at Salewa boots. Yeah. And they have a nice option. People that have got just a voluminous foot, wide foot, a lot of volume, Lowa boots. They are
that's the go-to.
They're
for sure.
really
the
wide.
true Hobbit foot out there, that's the go-to.
I used to wear Lowas all the time. I was in fisheries work. That was the go-to boot.
Yeah, Lowa Tibet GTX.
Yep. Tibets were the ones.
If you got a big foot, look at a Lowa. And then I would say, looking at guys with more narrow feet, you've got kind of a long, narrow, skinny foot. There's some of those Italian brands like a Scarpa, a La Sportiva, maybe even a Hanwag, depending on, the individual boot itself. I would say Hanwag is kind of middle of the road.
Yeah.
It's like for guys with not a narrow foot, not a wide foot, just kind of a normal foot.
All their models are phenomenal. Like I've worn the Trapper Top a lot too. Some of my late season
Your
hunts.
foot fits it though. Mine's over the limit for a Hanwag.
Yeah. For the width,
over
right?
The limit. Yep. I can't fit them.
Yeah, when you look at Hanwag, they've got a ton. Many of my favorite boots are Hanwag. Whether you're talking this Tatra, or the Tatra that you've got, or the Makra Combi. The Makra Trek is actually one that I wore most this year. I wore that on
looks beat up.
That does look beat up.
Jeez. I put some miles on that boot this year on my elk hunt in Utah, and I really like that boot. Kind of one of my standbys that I've had for years and years is the Alaska GTX. I think it's as good a boot as you can find, like a do-all type of boot. The only beef I have with it is it's a little bit heavy, and if you get that thing wet, you're definitely going to feel it on your foot.
And that's a little different design too, because you do have that leather.
That's actually one of my favorite features of that boot, and it sounds corny because it's just like the inner portion of it that's leather. But man, that thing feels really, really good on your calf. It's really comfortable.
It also probably molds there over time really well.
Yep. Yeah. That's been this is my third pair of this Alaska GTX. You can't hardly wear these things out. The only thing that'll ever happen on occasion is you'll get some sole peel that you can fix with some shoe goo.
Shoe goo.
Is that the technical term?
I don't know.
That's a good name, though.
Back when I skateboarded, we always had shoe goo. Yeah, you'd ollie out your pad here in the front. You'd have to layer it up with some shoe goo. But I love this. Huh? It's a brand. Yeah. So yeah, the Alaska GTX has been one of my favorite.
What's that Scarper you got sitting there?
Yeah, the Scarpa, they call it an equilibrium. It's kind of a weird spelling of it, equilibrium, but it's kind of it's a
La Sportiva?
Yeah, La Sportiva.
Or did you say Scarpa? It's La Sportiva.
I meant the Scarper right in the middle.
one.
Sorry. Yeah.
My bad. Yeah, the Scarpa is called the Mescalito GTX, and it's just kind of a lightweight hiker. I wore it elk hunting this year, and it's really comfortable on the foot. I would say that this boot does not have as good a heel pocket as what I need, and I will get like a little bit of slippage.
Yep.
But for the most part, it's been pretty good, and I'm fortunate that I work here, so I get to buy and try a lot of boots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is it's no small investment. I mean, these things it's not cheap.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
and I've bought all of these.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was something important to touch on here too, is like, if people are trying to take this serious, we also have all of the data listed on all of our feet.
I was getting, yeah.
So if like, if
Talk about it.
if you're at home measuring on a white piece of printer paper, put your heel on the wall, stand on a white piece of printer paper, take your measurements, length, width, the volume is a little difficult because it's kind of subjective with where you take it, but just focus on the length and width. Like, you'll see if your feet are more comparable to mine or Brady's or Trail's, or a bunch of, we took pretty much everybody's data.
Those profiles are
within
really
the
valuable.
office.
And we have that YouTube video.
And
out there
YouTube
too,
video,
to
and
show you how to
took
measure
profiles on this, because this shit ain't cheap, man. And like, like I said, you take your Chevrolet legs down and you're going nowhere. Like, to think Brady is being held back from where he wants to go. I mean, holy shit, that's a big deal.
A big thing.
So, I don't know, Trail, you're like the main boot gear guy. But like, when people ask me, I always wish I could just put them in direct touch with you. But I always say, like, if you're truly starting from scratch and you have no idea, like a Flex 3 find the profile of one of our staff who your foot is most representative of. Start with a Flex 3, because then you're going to know if you want to go up and down from there. And that Flex 3 is going to be like a super well-rounded boot. Like, it's not going to go to waste. I mean, that's going to be a go-to boot for sure. And then all your specialty stuff beyond that, you're going to know if you want to go up or down in flexibility, if you want to go up and down or volume, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's always my 2 cents, but you're obviously a lot more well-rounded
you're
there than I am.
spot on. And I would say use those boot profiles. I mean, if you look through, like if you click on a boot in our gear shop, underneath the description there, you're going to see like 3 different individuals that work here in the office, and you're actually going to see each one of our foot measurements in millimeters. Yeah. And you can compare that to your foot to see how that boot might fit you. And we're going to give you like the recommendation for the size that we like. And that's with, a medium weight merino wool sock. So that can help you decide what you need as far as actual length of a boot.
Yeah. And we compare it to a size like what Nikes we always compare them to.
We try to. I mean, everybody. We feel like the reason why we chose it is like, we feel no matter what stage in life you're at, you have bought a pair of Nikes off the shelf, and the one beautiful thing about Nike is you travel from here to China and everything in between. Not that I'm going to China, but just throwing that out there. It's just the furthest place I could think of it off the top of my head. Tajikistan. Like, if you buy one of them off the shelf, they are so consistent in sizing, and that's why we just felt like that was a good barometer for our comparison. Is everybody's bought a Nike off the shelf, and you know what you are at Nike.
Yeah. So each one of those boot profiles in our shop should have everything that you would need to know if that's a boot that's going to work for you. So you're going to have a boot profile, a flex rating. So you'll have a really good idea on what size you should buy, as well as what type of flex rating. And then within those descriptions, we also try to include like best use case scenario. So, I mean, when we decided to get into boots, I remember Lorenzo.
It was a big deal.
Lorenzo was just like, you fought it for a while. I remember.
Porter fought it.
Porter probably fought it worse than anybody.
Most.
Right?
But the reason why I was fighting it is because
of the disaster that it can be.
Exactly. And it can be so overlooked.
Yeah.
Like, it can be just one of those things that like, I'll just get a pair of boots whenever, whenever I have my hunt or whenever this or that. Like, you talk about overwhelming in hunting. Like, you think the draws are overwhelming.
Yeah.
Man, the choices and the implications of boots, like you're dealing with high risk. You're dealing with a very high risk scenario here, like literally make or break somebody trying to hunt, right? And what if you drew a bighorn sheep tag?
I know. Yeah. And that was my
what
experience.
If you, right? And everybody always goes to that, but like, what if your elk tag that you
non-negotiable,
burned all those points, right? It's
Yeah.
like, this shit's a big deal, and the amount of implication that it could put on your hunt is a big deal. So I always spot it from the standpoint of, if we're going to do this, like, we've got to have data to allow people to help make a right decision. Because I mean, boots, like, you know, humans are interesting. We like to do things because they look good or cool, or, you know, they fit your eye, whatever it is. But boots, man, it's like high risk.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is in saying that you fought it, you didn't fight it. You just said, we'll do it. But if we do it, we're gonna do it.
It's got to be done the right way.
We're gonna do it the right way. We're gonna carry a ton of models to fit a variety of feet, and then within each individual description, we're gonna tell people what this boot is, so that when they buy it, they have a very high level of expectation is what they're going to receive.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
So we
spent so much time.
We spent a shit ton of time.
And I was
It was a big
I was
thing.
dedicated on that. I made everyone measure their foot. You walked in, I don't care how ugly your fucking feet are. You're going to get on this table and we're going to measure your foot.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to build
get
profiles.
Your foot up here.
But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, man, it's high risk, and it's just you know, and I appreciate it too, because we get to mess with a lot of gear. So now I can go through and be like, oh, I want to try this one. Oh shit, it won't fit my foot. Let's try something else, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fun to mess with them, but the implications, man, it's pretty deep.
Do you ever trail? I'm specifically asking you right now, putting you on the spot. Put any consideration into like lace lock construction, hooks versus ball bearings versus just material wrapping over laces? You ever think of that, like how that's
When I buy a boot?
When you're buying a boot?
I wouldn't say that I necessarily put a ton of thought into it, but
Is there something you prefer maybe? in the
yeah,
system?
for sure. I can show you just real quick.
Like if you wish every boot could be like that, you would tell every boot manufacturer
Yes,
to do
let
this.
me give you an example. This boot here, you can see that the eyelet here, this is the one that sits kind of above your forefoot. It's not deep enough. Like in this boot, if it were up to me, I would move this thing back a half an inch so that I can get a little bit more bite and pull, because I do think that would help my heel issues
Lock
potentially in this boot. So that is like one little thing about this boot that I don't necessarily like, and I probably would bump that back. I mean, you compare it to something like this, it's got like a real deep, you can see the angle on that, how far back it sits. I
Yeah.
just get a better cinch over the top of my foot. So that is something I think about. I do really like these types of eyelets on the Hanwag Alaska GTX.
Yeah, that little ball in
that
there,
little
it's like a
ball
BB.
bearing there. So it reduces the friction on your laces. So I don't tend to break laces on this. I have broke laces in boots before, and I mean,
P-cord's your best friend
Yeah,
in
that's-
that
it's
case.
a pain in the ass.
I had a pair of my Kinetrex on a second sheep hunt that I went on up north. I had bright blue laces from the P-cord I had, and I saved my whole hunt.
One of
Saved
the worst
everything.
experiences I had was when I broke a lace and I had that Z-Pax like slick line cord.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
So when you're trying to grab it and to pull it tight, it's just ripping through your hands because like it's just so slick.
I have
Yeah.
the exact same issue. Yeah, I broke a lace on a pair of boots and had to replace it with the exact same slick line. So I do think about that a little bit. I like the ball bearings. I would say that those are my best just because you get less wear and tear. I do hate sometimes, like on some of these, when they get pinched in.
Yeah, pinch.
Oh, I hate that.
Sometimes it can benefit you when you're pulling them tight and it stays there,
Yeah.
so you can like rest your hands for a
Yeah.
second when you're trying to really wrench on them.
Some boots, I'm trying to think which
Man,
one.
that's just a world I don't know.
Because, yeah, I have to make it
Wrenching
so-
on
I have
the
to make it
lace.
so tight.
I don't know that.
You've never had that
I'm trying
issue?
to buy room in the front.
Yeah, I do like that some boots at this point in the boot, this little eyelet right here has like almost a self-locking, so that as
Yep.
you pull that up and cinch it, it stays, so that you can then lace the upper portion of your boot and it ties nice.
Yeah. Did you like the one hooks that are always on the tongue?
Oh yeah, I do use that.
Use that a lot to
Yeah,
help pull it up?
I thread them in underneath the little eyelet there on the tongue, and it just holds the tongue up so it doesn't slip and get in the way. I don't think about it a ton, but it's like anything. I mean, it's details, like
Yeah,
little
detail.
details that add
Yeah.
up to make something a little bit better. I wouldn't say that it's like the make or break on me picking a boot one over the other, but it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all different too. Like I'm even looking at the Scarpa right here and has like whatever sort of looking slick, plasticky like type material, probably again to prevent wear and tear on your laces. And everyone does it differently.
I have had a Salewa, if you can see here, the suede. They actually run the lace through the suede. I have had those break in a Salewa. Replaced them, but it was kind of a pain in the butt
I had
at the time.
these neon.
Pop through.
What are these? It's like just a secondary lock outside of that suede. the first pair of these I had both of them pull out. But these boots are laced so well and tight enough that it was still entirely usable.
Yeah, if you look at that boot, it's got multiple options.
Yeah. So when I blew 2 of those out, one on each side, and like I said, I got some chunky feet, so I blew 2 of those out, but it was still like what I paid attention. What I noticed is there's so much lace through here, or so much areas to lace through here. It really didn't affect my boot at all.
I guess to answer your question a little bit, Brady. If I were looking to buy a pair of boots that were going to last me a really long time, and like I was really worried about getting like the most longevity out of my boots, I probably would look more specifically at things like laces, and I would go with something like this.
Yep,
It's got the
on
heaviest. This is the Alaska GTX, but I mean, you can see you've got those beefy eyelets.
Yeah.
Those are through full grain leather, so
Yep.
those are definitely going to not pull out like you might get with some of these that are just tabs.
What about all the different combinations? I know I'm getting in the weeds, asking a bunch of questions here, but
He's the boot guy.
Laces. Do you ever right away like I'm going to pull off these laces, put some custom ones on or whatever? You ever?
I never do. There's definitely laces I like better than others.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is like when you dive down the rabbit holes of running shoes, it's funny, but laces in running shoes, I think mountain boots have got some making up to do, because running shoes have some sweet laces.
Yeah. And I know there's some lace construction that's like, it feels like you catch a burr on it or whatever, it peels out the outer core. Now you have this inner core that's just a little strand of string, and then it just ends up slowly wearing and tearing through it. But other ones are a little bit stronger lace construction. I don't know if they're like wrapped with different colors and the way they're stitched or whatnot, interwoven, but
yeah, most of them have some cord in the middle, but like my running shoes right now I'm wearing at home are a pair of Saucony Triumphs. The laces in those have got some stretch to it. So if you could find some laces that have got some stretch to it that also have the durability of, that would be really handy, because you do get a nice cinch with those laces.
Yeah.
So I think there's some ground to be made up. But I mean, we sell aftermarket laces here in the shop, but I've never, pulled them out and relaced them just for the.
I never have either.
Sake of
Just made sure I've
turn
always
to
had
your left
key cord
trail.
on.
You guys watching the Zamberlin up in the upper right with that
the
you call
boa
system?
Yeah.
Never tried it.
Never tried them?
I've never tried it.
Nope.
It's very intriguing and interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about the boa. I feel like I left behind like self-lacing boa, and like, back when shoes had transformers on them.
Oh, those are
On
sweet.
So I don't know. I've never tried them, but they might work. They'd definitely be quick.
They make them for a reason for certain people who want them.
Yeah, and that Zamberlin boot we're looking at, it's like a heavy-duty insulated winter boot, so if you don't want to take the time to peel your gloves off and tie your
that's what they do
laces.
on like snowboard boots, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
boa system.
Yeah, I could definitely say it's got a use case scenario.
So I lied. I found my picture. So 2016 is the last time I wore Kinetrex.
Okay.
Because I found that picture where I had to use P-cord.
Look at this.
It
Look good
just
with blue laces.
bright
How do you
blue.
dig that up right now? Like that.
I was racking my head
the month
about
and year and
changing out those laces. And anyways,
think
I lied. 2016 is the last time I wore Kinetrex. That's the last time I ever wore.
I think you should always go back and rock some blue
I
laces.
can't do blue now. It's got to be orange.
I don't know. That looks pretty sick.
It does look pretty sweet. But yeah, paracord is, there's obviously so many use cases for it, but I've never been concerned about laces.
Does the color of the boot have any factor on whether you buy it or not?
no.
I have no shame in saying yes.
Yeah.
No shame.
Yeah.
Absolutely it does for me.
Are bright fancy boots going to scare away game?
No.
No, I don't mean that. I hate a black boot.
Really?
Yeah, I've grown to the point where like I do not like a black boot.
Is it because we're like high desert type terrain?
It's hot on my foot.
Yeah, I can feel the heat.
It
I
just
run hot and I can
feels
feel
hot
that.
on my feet. Even though this boot here, I love the boot itself. It's solid black, and I was hunting elk in Utah this year, and it was mid 90s. We had a real heat snap. It was hot. That boot ran so hot. I would much prefer if this boot was a lighter color.
I will. You guys know me very well. What's the one color I will not do?
This
Red.
one right here.
Red.
I can't stand
Lorenzo
it.
hates red.
I don't know why. I need to do some soul searching and understand why.
This would not be your boot.
No, I would never
looks
even.
like pain 'cause
I
you're
would never
bleeding.
even look at that boot because it's red. So I have no shame in saying, my eye is drawn to color. I'm obviously extremely tied to and proud of the brand and orange and gray. So like if anybody out there makes something orange and gray, I'm gonna fucking buy it.
It's a good looking
without
boot.
even looking, I'm gonna buy it. So color. My eye is drawn to color. and I'm not a fan of all black because of the
heat?
temperature, because of the heat. This like off tan, like more gray tan.
I like that boot.
It does keep off the heat. Like I don't feel it on my toes. And the orange was just, I mean, like I said, that was the first
What
thing
about
I'm
a
gonna
boot
do.
like that? Would you ever?
Can't do it.
Too much?
If it was, no, not too much.
Just the
like
red?
the red. I can't
Gotcha.
do the red. I love, so lime green, orange, blues. Like I'm a fan of all that. But like you start getting into red, I'm fucking out.
Yeah. I don't like a black boot though for that reason. Other than that, like I don't mind it if it's leather, brown, kind of a light gray. And I've worn black boots. I mean, obviously I wore that one all year, but if I had my choice, they just seem to run hot in my opinion.
I totally agree with
And
that.
I look like a cop if I'm wearing them. Who wants to look like a cop, right?
Who wants to look like? I talk shit to my brother-in-law all the time. Who wants to look like a cop? That's why I always tell him, I said, bro, I know you're a cop.
My nephew's
just
a
looking
cop.
at you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not cool, man. But like this boot though, it is black and off black. This insulated Scarpa, the Monte-Tech GTX, which, so I went on Northwest Territories hunt in October, actually a Yukon hunt in October. This is back when I was in college with my dad. And I've never been the same since. Like I was not prepared. I was wearing cotton clothing. I was wearing shitty boots. This is pre-2010. And I swear my toes and feet have never been the same. We talked about this on Porter's
getting
44
a
hunt.
numb toe.
I like the black in late season. I like that.
Yeah.
If the sun is out,
Yeah,
ooh,
I just mean early
it to me.
season. Early archery hunt, which is
Yeah.
mostly what I'm doing. I hate that black boot.
I love that this is insulated and black.
Yeah.
Like give me that the sun heat.
I can see that.
Do you ever have, so maybe I'll give an explanation afterwards. I'm going to ask you a question, then I'm going to answer it first. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have different boots I'll wear in different terrain, specific because, for example, I run the Rapaches, Slayer Rapache, in desert terrain because it feels like the lava rock and nasty terrain like Arizona, parts of Nevada just tear up the bottom of my boot. And I don't want to take my true mountain boot that I wear in October, November and beat the crap out of it on those ones because I feel like that terrain just eats up my boot. Do you ever have a boot specifically for terrain because you just know it's going to tear it apart and you don't want to use a nicer, I don't know, like the Rapache is still a nice boot, but I'm just saying like I have the Rapache I always wear when I go to Arizona.
Yeah, I would say, my mind more goes to the outsole meeting the type of terrain.
Yeah, that's also true. Mine gets eat up.
Yeah. In terms of wear of tear and then also in terms of grip and traction. So there's definitely boots like this boot here. If you feel the rubber in this boot, it's a Vibram sole, but the rubber compound that they've used in it, it's very stiff and rigid. It's not great on wet, muddy stuff. It just tends to slide around. If you're on rock on this, it just doesn't grip it. But if you compare that to something like, this one that's got a much more tacky rubber sole, you just get a lot better grip on wet surfaces. So I will think about that. And like this shoe here, extremely tacky rubber.
Yeah, so it's going
What
to
shoe
wear out.
is that again?
It's
That
the
Sportiva?
Mutant. Yeah, La Sportiva Mutant, they call it.
Mutant.
Yeah, Mutant.
That's a cool name.
Yeah, the Mutant. But it's really tacky. So
It's got orange on it. I'd buy it.
I do think about that. So like if I'm mostly rocky and it's wet, I do want like a tacky, grippy outer sole versus something that's like a hard rubber compound. You get better, I would say generally like kind of a better wear and tear and something like that over the long haul, but you get better traction out of something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are boots on the market that we don't carry. That's been one of my primarily beefs with that brand is that I just don't think you get the wear and tear because the soles are so soft.
Yeah.
And they're great for a little while on, wet, rocky surfaces, but you just don't get the wear and tear out of it.
You're just burning your wallet.
You burn right through them.
Should we jump into
Socks?
Yeah, I was going to say we beat up the boots.
We beat them
stuff
up pretty good.
But there is one thing that you can't, you have to have with boots, and that's socks, and that changes the game too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that they don't have any implications or relationship to the type of boot you're going after. So let's at least touch on it a little bit.
You know what I think is funny with socks is that you'll have people that'll buy a pair of boots and they'll spend $350, $400 for a pair of boots, and then they'll look at a pair of socks that's $25 or $30, and they're like, "Man, I just cannot spend $30 on a pair of socks."
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm that way in my life about some things, but when it comes to socks, like a good pair of socks is everything. Yeah. So my favorites are Darn Tough.
Darn Tough are Fantastic.
Lifetime guarantee.
Yeah.
I mean, we sell a couple brands. I would put Farm to Feed
Farm to
right,
Feed up there as
right
well.
up there.
I love their Kodiak socks or my late season hunts.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yep.
beefy and warm.
And I like their Damascus, which they make in a lightweight and then also a midweight. They've got kind of a ergonomical shape to your foot. They put padding where you need it and cushioning. But I like Farm to Feed. I like Darn Tough. But my go-tos have always been, Darn Tough for a
The
while.
Darn Tough 212. I think that's the classic for that
Yeah.
full
Yeah,
boot cushion.
Yeah, that 2012. Do you guys wear over the calf socks ever?
No.
I try not to.
You don't?
No.
Not
My
even
calves
on a
are
late hunt?
too thick.
If I have pack, if I have pack
I mean,
boots
honestly.
on, pack boots I will because
Yeah.
they're tall. Like I have the taller pack boots, but not a lot. It just feels kind of restricting in a way. It feels like I'm at the gym wearing basketball compression leggings or something like that.
Yep. I always wore two pairs of socks. So I used to wear a liner sock and then a sock on the outside of it. It's because I would get blisters.
So yeah, explain the benefits of the liner sock.
Yeah, so liner
That's
sock.
what my dad does. My dad's a big
Does
liner
he?
sock guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of times I used to wear liner socks, and it's either a nylon liner or they do make a merino liner. They make like a poly. Also, there's like typically 3 different kinds, but it's just a super thin liner sock, and you wear that underneath your regular sock.
Yep.
And essentially, kind of what you're doing is you're creating a barrier between the two socks that's going to rub versus a sock just rubbing on your skin. That's what causes a blister. I mean, if you think about it, you can get them from, your heel lifting and rubbing back and forth. But a lot of times you get blisters too from just one single point contacting your skin and just continually moving around and around and around in a circle, right? And pretty soon it starts to irritate that layer of skin and it bubbles up into a blister.
Yep.
So liner socks can kind of help cause that friction between the two socks versus your skin in the sock.
Yeah, I've also used liner socks in a different way as well because again I have those super long skinny feet, so sometimes it's helping me to add extra girth.
Volume.
Yeah.
World I'll never know.
So, so you can see me a lot. I do wear liner socks in a late season hunt, and then I can pull those off. I can dry both of them, and then it's keeping my outer sock a little bit more drier, pulling everything around. But like to me, it's also a volume thing.
Yeah. Yeah, if you need to add a little bit of volume, a liner sock can definitely help. I do think it helps also like pull a little bit more moisture out of it, so it can help in that regard. But I always used to wear 2 socks, but since I've gone to Darn Tough, I've just worn one sock. And I mean,
Yeah.
I've worn that thing.
And they are darn tough. Like
Yeah.
you really
are.
can't put holes in those suckers.
I have a pair on right now on my feet that I've had for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Jason Hairston of KUIU is the one that got me into Darn Toughs. And I have not left him ever since. Like it is literally my go-to. So on the later, like I said, my feet have never been the same since that hunt I went on in Yukon in 2010. So like I am pre-2010. So I'm like pretty focused on getting at least a midweight sock when I get into the deeper seasons like September and on, especially in the high country. So the midweight, the full cushion. What is this one?
Yeah, the 2012.
The 2012. Oh man,
That's kind of my go-to too.
my absolute go-to. And then my other one is the lightweight, like early season stuff. This one is the what's this one?
I've got a I don't know if that's a 1952.
2100.
Yeah.
This is the
I run in
2100.
these a
This
lot.
This is my go-to early season.
Yep. I use that sock to run in every day. That's
Really?
like my daily running sock. Yeah. And then it gets a little bit colder. I'll even run in these. These are the 1952, which is like a lightweight merino cushion sock. But yeah, I would say, if you were going to buy a new pair of socks, I would say buy 3 or 4 pairs of just the 2012. It's a full cushion merino sock from Darn Tough, and your feet will be happy.
Best.
What about other options outside of Darn Tough? Like, what do you guys know?
Yeah,
about
Farm
other
to Feet.
options?
I like. We've got some that are alpaca, which
Yeah.
is a new alpaca. It's got a bunch of spandex in it, which I mean, if you look at a Darn Tough, I think their spandex count in their socks is like in the single digits. I want to say it's like 5 or 6%, which most of it's merino, a little bit of nylon. I don't like a lot of spandex in my socks because it feels like it moves a bunch. I've got some Mountain Op socks, and they're okay. They do make a pretty decent merino liner sock, but they do have a lot of spandex in their socks. I mean, I've tried a bunch of different socks. I'm trying to think other brands. I've tried Smart Wool.
Smart wool.
Yeah, that's what I was into before
Yep.
Darn Tough. Was
I've got
Smart
some
Wool.
Smart Wool socks that have been really good. And there's some good socks. Bombas makes a decent sock, but I mean,
Bombas for hunting.
Yeah, they make a taller sock.
Really?
It's just a
Shit, I
regular
didn't know
regular
that.
sock.
I've used some Kenetrack socks over the years. too.
Kenetrack makes a great sock. Yeah, which I failed to mention. We carry those, and they make really nice socks also.
What do you think the ultimate material is for a hunting sock?
Merino.
It has to be merino wool.
Yeah. Unless alpaca. I'm going to try these out and
Yeah.
see what people say that they dry quicker and they insulate better. So,
So I'm going to tell a little story here. Cody knows the story because we were sitting there talking last night. I had one of our good buddies, Logan Summers, over at my house. We were watching a bunch of Billy Moles videos, Alaska and sheep, grizzly, moose steppe hunts. And at one point in the video, they were like, oh yeah, guide downtime. We're sitting here washing our socks, doing a bunch of laundry. So he was like, you know what thing I'm going to do next time I go sheep hunting? I was like, what? He's like, I'm going to bring a bunch of cotton socks. I'm like, wait, well, why? Here's his explanation. I think he's totally being serious about this. So Logan, if you're not, I'm sorry. He's like, I want to bring a bunch of cotton socks because every day after that day, I'm going to throw those socks in the fire, put a brand new pair of socks on. Next day I go hike, get all sweaty. It's like that way I don't, like day 6, day 7, your socks get super crusty. Like I only bring one pair of socks ever.
you just need extra fire starters? Is that what it will?
Yeah, maybe. It's like, yeah, after every day I'm going to take the new pair of cotton socks and chuck them in a fire.
Sounds expensive.
Sounds expensive and probably not smart. So that's a caveat. Sometimes don't listen to our advice. Sorry, Logan. But I thought it was funny last night.
That is funny.
Okay.
I got a buddy, he swears.
That's an interesting.
Interesting. I've never thought of it before,
theory.
but he's like, he wants a clean pair of socks every day. He doesn't want to have to, wash them in a.
Yeah. I don't care if my socks are clean. I wore them
same pair of socks for 15 days.
I've worn them for 12 days straight.
Cody knows my thoughts on extra socks and underwear.
Yeah, me too. And I never took them off. 12 days.
I can't. That's a funny. Yeah, we need him to explain this whole thing. But with trail, I'll never forget my first time hunting in the backcountry with trail. New Mexico, backcountry elk. And I pull up to him and we meet in a town we won't say. We pull up to the trailhead that we won't say. I get out, I start shooting my bow, making sure everything's on, my little, my nerves, whatever. Trail is sitting on his tailgate, cleaning his toe, literally in between every single toe. Mm-hmm. Was it an alcohol wipe?
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah. Alcohol wipe.
Like a wet wipe?
Like in between every toe, on the heel.
Cut your toenails?
Starts cutting his toenails. I'm shooting my bow. I'm packing my gear.
I got something.
And and I'm sitting there watching him for a while. And then finally I'm like, Trail, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, well, as soon as this sock goes on, it's not coming off until I get back to this truck. I'm like, so I look at him, just kind of confused. I'm like, wait, so hold on. We're planned on being back here for 12 days. Like that's what we're planned on. Whether we kill early or not, we're killing 2 bulls, or at least, that's the hope is to kill 2 bulls. So 12 days, you're telling me you're never going to see your feet for the next 12 days? Nope. These socks I am not looking at my feet for the next 12 days.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I keep them on
holy
too when I'm
shit.
sleeping.
Now,
yeah, me too.
Let them dry off.
Dry them out at night.
So we're back there hunting, very successful hunt, awesome hunt. We get stuck back there for 2 extra days. I can't remember the total amount of days. I think it was like 8 or so.
Yeah, I can't remember. But
socks never came off one time. Not a single time. Socks never came off.
Yeah.
Can't believe it.
Yeah, just leave them on. I wear them at night, let them dry out in the sleeping bag, get up, put the boot on, and go at it again.
But what you just described there too is also a very good tip. I don't think Renzo realized is clipping your toenails before you go hunting.
Oh yeah.
So
that's a big one.
You always got to have good
Also,
whatever.
Clean between your toes.
Yeah. So
you get a little sand, a little grit between your toes.
Especially when you're not seeing your toes for the next 12 days.
Somehow I've had the couple hunts where all of a sudden I go on a hunt and I'm wearing flip flops as I'm driving. All of a sudden I realize like, damn,
yeah,
my toenails are long.
They're.
I'm like, I somehow missed clipping them. So now I carry a set of toenail clippers in my truck at all times. So if I somehow whatever happens at home, I'm going on a hunt. Like I don't want to have, long toes because that's going to also impede me when I'm going downhill and smashing those things in the front. So I have an extra set in my truck at all times. Get to a trail, I look at my toes really quick and clip them.
I got that from running. So like I would pull up, I would sign up for a run, a half marathon or whatever, and I would always do that because like your feet just impact over and over and over. You smash your feet. So clean my toe. Another tip. There's a quick tip for you.
I love quick tips.
Yeah, if you're getting some issues between your toes, blistering from toes rubbing together. One of the biggest things I always used to do when I was running a lot of miles is you kind of just put a thin layer of Vaseline on your feet.
Yeah.
Between your toes. And they also make some stuff.
That's a football trick.
Yeah. Is it? Did you guys do that in football? Yeah, I always used to put some Vaseline between my toes, which kind of helped the friction, and I never got blisters that way.
Look, I'm not afraid to admit it or say it. I got a wife. It's kind of a
Oh, I know where you're going.
go get a pedicure.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going.
No, not where I was.
You just lose your man card.
I might. I honestly, I don't give a shit.
Get a
But,
patty,
like,
huh?
So the one thing, yes, I carry toenail clippers in my truck. I also carry a file. I think a lot of the file is
Filing,
overlooked.
really?
Like
I've
I
never
take my
filed my
wife's
toenails.
my wife's nail file.
What?
You just in case. Like you never know. It's just in case I've
Do you
used
carry
it
other
a couple
things
times.
from your wife too?
We'll talk about that later. But honestly, pedicure, nice family, wife time before I leave and get out of town.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And if anybody wants to talk shit about it, just go do it. I'm telling you, like,
Wow.
it's awesome.
I just learned a lot right there.
They are professionals at nail and toe care. They're professionals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Let them do it. It's awesome. I'm telling you, it is fantastic.
How?
I'm telling you, it is fantastic.
I think we should do this for Brady for content piece. Just take him
make him
down.
go do it?
Yeah, take him in for a patty.
I'm gonna pull those suckers out and be like, "Wow, do you just live in the mountains?" I'd be like,
I was
yeah.
for the first couple of times, I was kind of embarrassed to show my feet. But I mean, after a while, you're like, this is so fantastic. I don't really give a shit. So let's go.
Huh? I just learned a lot about Lorenzo.
There
right
you go.
I'm not afraid to say it. Telling you a good pedicure
Dropping knowledge bombs.
before you head off into the backcountry, fantastic.
I've never had a petty, but sounds good.
You get the full massage.
I have been for full body massages before hunts, and I'm here to tell you that's a game changer.
I'm not a massage guy.
You got a sore back before you leave. That thing will loosen
My
right
thing
up.
with massages, I have never felt better getting off of the table than I did before getting on the table. Now, granted, like multiple days later, yes,
Yeah, a day or two later.
but I've never felt better getting off the table.
I've only had one, and it was like in Mexico once.
It's a weird one.
Okay, yeah, it's just yeah.
Are you sure that was a massage?
I was with my family. It's only all right. It was my family,
Okay.
and I hated every second of it because I felt like my body was getting destroyed.
Yeah,
I felt
that's the point.
uncomfortable afterwards because
Yeah.
my body just hurt. I'm like, I don't want that anymore. Never done it since.
Dude, I had a sore back before you and I went hunting in New Mexico. My lower back was just aching.
Killing you?
Yeah, just killing.
Well, you were off another elk hunt.
Yeah, just murder. And so I went in, I got a deep tissue massage, and the lady that did it, she kind of worked my back over, and then she was like, "Hey, I think you got some tensions. I think it's in your ass." She's like, "Yeah." She's like, I think I can work this out." I said, "Cool, yeah, do whatever you need to do." And I'm telling you, I walked out of there a brand new man. I
Really?
felt so much better, and I've done that since. Like
That
if I've
hamstring, ass, lower back chain.
Yeah.
If one of those is off, I do agree with that.
I just feel like I have to say this right now. It sounds like men are getting soft. I'm just blown away right now.
I don't know. All I'm
blown
saying,
away.
All I'm
Look,
saying,
I'm not getting soft. I refuse to get soft. But there are some niceties in life. And, instead of taking care of my own toes,
I'm saying
just have
if
a
you
professional
got
do it.
lower back pains, you got back pains, man, and it means the difference between going hunting and staying home with a hurt back. I'm getting a deep tissue massage.
Just do some deadlifts.
Some deadlifts with a sore back.
Yeah, with a sore back, just to make it more tight.
Just do the what's the upside down thing? The teeter hang up guy.
Yeah. That would probably be good.
Probably be good.
Probably would
the
be good.
inversion table. Or whatever that is.
Speaking of that, what happened to our inversion table we used to have?
I don't
back
know.
in the
I think
day?
do we still have it? We
I've
should
never
still
seen
have
it. We used to have it at the office.
Brady,
Yeah.
you never had a massage.
Just that one in Mexico, and that's it. Never again.
I'll bet you there's probably a massage parlor on every corner in
Ooh,
Vegas.
maybe not ones you want to go to. You might get arrested.
Why
but
don't you go get one? Just report back. I want to hear if it changes your
why?
life.
I got one to send you to.
But why?
'Cause they're
I have
great,
not.
man.
Just by the way, I have not gone. Porter is begging me to go, but I'm not a massage guy. But we should send you there.
No,
Report
I stay
afterwards.
hard for a reason.
I've had,
Stay hard.
I think I've had 3 ever, and it was all before I left on a hunt because my lower back or something
killing
was bugging me.
Yeah.
And so I went and got him deep tissue, and I
think
walked out feeling fantastic.
I'm deeply passionate about not doing this.
Deeply passionate. You will be deeply passionate about
Deep tissue massage?
a
A pedicure?
pedicure. I'm telling you, man, they are legitimate professionals. Like your toes, and I shouldn't say like, it's not a massage. It's like I don't know, they like I don't know, stretch your toe, like pull it, get all your toes back, because all we do is wear shoes constantly.
Yeah,
right.
it's
Like
true.
that's all we do is wear shoes. So they kind of work your feet like back. It's almost like chiropractic for your feet. They kind of work them back into where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, and I don't really believe in chiropractors. I've been
Oh,
I've been to chiropractors before, and I've just been like, I think you mess things up worse.
So let me get this straight. You want me to lay still and you're going to snap my neck?
Yeah.
Like this is what we're doing here.
Do you ever
Seems
see
a
those
little weird.
videos like on Instagram of people popping their neck or their back? I'm like, that cannot be
No
good.
thanks.
So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the chiropractor, but deep tissue massage, I'm all about that. Get it, Brady.
We're going to report back.
Wow, I need to think about this
Brady,
one.
get a new pair.
I think we need a content. I think people should let us know. We
Yeah.
should do a content piece on Brady before and after this massage that Porter keeps raving about.
No.
For the right reason. No, I shouldn't say the right. For the actual massage reasons.
I'd rather throw a backpack on with 60 pounds of concrete and go run around for a while, and that's my massage.
do
I'm gonna
both.
get,
You
I'm
got to
gonna
do
get my
both.
body worked
You
up.
got to do
doing
both.
that.
Hey,
you
recovery.
you do all that right up to the point. You get a deep tissue massage. You give it 2 days. You hit opening day. And
After
you
a hard
are like,
workout, what about a glass of whiskey? That's going to give my muscles all relaxed. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Stay hard.
You feel
We're
like
men here.
Hercules, man. You feel so good going into the woods.
I subscribe to the Ron Swanson mentality.
Oh, I love Ron. One of the greatest characters of all time.
Well, I'm just saying,
I
don't.
love the part where there is that JJ's diner.
Oh, JJ,
He's like,
yeah.
I want all the eggs and bacon you have. And the waiter goes to walk away and he's like, I think you misunderstood me when I said all, and you just take that as a lot. I'm telling you, I want all of the eggs and bacon you have.
Yep.
That guy's the best.
All right, good deal. Any questions? You guys got more about boots?
I think we ran
other
through the
tips
whole
and
gamut
tricks?
of boots.
No, we'll follow up on this going into this year too, because I have a backcountry hunt already, and I potentially could have 2. We'll kind of follow up on the changes we're making.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say now's a great time. I'll just reiterate it. Now's a great time to buy boots. You can use the promo code podcast, get yourself 10% off. We also, I fully realize the complexities of trying to buy a pair of boots, especially if you've never come out west and you don't really even know what you're looking for in a hiking boot. We've got people in the shop, in the gear shop, whether you call up and talk to, Dave or Brandon or Branson or Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys have tried a bunch of different boots. They're here in the shop day in and day out. They know, what's coming in. They know what we
the
have
right questions
available.
to ask,
They know the
too.
right question. And that's a lot of it.
That's the main part of it is the right question
is
to ask.
knowing what questions to ask. Yeah. Typically I ask people, what's a boot that's worked for you?
Yeah.
And from that, these guys know enough about the selection that we have that they can put you in a boot that's very comparable to that will do what you need it to.
And
So-
if you're ever in Vegas for whatever reason,
yeah. Oh man.
like stop at our
That's
showroom.
irreplaceable if you could stop by in
Yeah.
person. But it's not reality for everybody, so we try to make it as virtual as
And if
possible.
you
with
live
these
in
foot
Vegas, how many
profiles.
people live in Vegas?
A lot.
And
It's
we
growing by the day.
And we don't, we're a hunting company. We sell hunting boots, but most of these boots are from mountaineering, recreation, outdoor recreation crowd. We sell more boots than REI guaranteed. I promise you, if you're looking for a hiking boot,
And we don't just sell men's.
we sell women's.
sell
We got
women's
some
boots,
women
too.
boots as well. So yeah, stop in. Come in and buy your hunting boots
Yep.
at goHUNT. We have best selection, hands down. That's something like I'm super. When we got into boots, I was like, we're gonna do boots, do it right.
Like we said before,
went
do it
all in.
right.
We win head first. There's no
Yep.
question about that.
Cool. Drop questions if you got questions. Reach
Yep.
out.
What's our email now?
Oh yeah, Big Hunt Guys
Big
at
Hunt Guys.
goHUNT.com.
Yep. BigHuntGuys at goHunt.com.
Yeah, we have an email. We
Yeah.
should have mentioned
Do
that
we
last
have a
time.
reach out service now?
Yeah, so let us
Contact
know.
us
Yeah,
service.
let us know if you got questions.
And then
I'd
you'll
love-
speak directly with us.
yeah, I'd
Podcast
love-
suggestions.
Yeah, podcast suggestions, questions.
Yep.
We thought maybe doing some Q&A. This would have been a great one to maybe
Yep.
pull in some Q&A on the tail end of it.
We can
but
follow up though as it gets deeper into it.
Yeah,
Draws
that would-
start
that
coming
would be
out. We'll
good.
start seeing what tags we have. It's another good time to pick up boots.
Yep.
yeah, if you got questions about boots or anything else, drop us a comment or anything you'd like to see on the podcast. Big Hunt Guys at goHUNT.com.
Peace.
See ya.
Peace out.